How's it going? How's everybody? Let me figure this out. Old man sewing still doesn't know computers as well. There we go. Hello. How's Yikes. How's everybody doing? I'm Godless Sewing. This is the Godless Sewing channel. Takes me a second. Oh, awesome, Commander. It took me a second. How's everybody doing? It's been another crazy week. I've been sewing like it's my job. I made overalls, I made a jacket, I made all kinds of stuff. So it's been crazy around here. How's everybody else doing? If anyone wants to join, you can either hop in or let me know and I'll send you a link. It's a title that I've given myself. I feel like old man sewing sometimes, Kilroy, in today's world, but that's just like I'm like one or two generations passed by. The second they put Nirvana on the oldie station, I was like, oh no, I'm done. I don't need. And let's be real. Like when I see the Grammys and stuff nowadays, I can't tell you one person who's on there if they're not over 40. Hey, Butterfly, how's it going? I actually have a sewing question. How do I fix my pleather pants? Because I want to wear them, but the front is tenting in an unreal way. So I was thinking I can just cut them, like a normal pair of pants and put them back together, But I don't know if that'll work or not. Oh, Kilroy, what would I do without you? No, I don't know. Where are my glasses? Yes, Skids Crasher is an uncle, so that's heck yeah, and congratulations. That's absolutely awesome. To moments like this that makes all of the other drama in life unimportant when there's a baby born. So that's awesome. Now I'm gonna go look for my glasses. Liz, I see you in the chat. Hello, Skiz Crasher, Alibaba Furball. How's it going? I try to keep them somewhere close because I know eventually I'm gonna need my glasses. Awesome. I'm waiting for my heater to kick off so I'm not screaming. I feel like I'm screaming over my heater, but I'm probably not. I've made a ton of stuff this week. And I fixed my overalls because I've been really hey, Skids Crasher. I went to I've been hunting for this particular pattern, and young Mr. Sewing and I were at my local Walmart, and just on a hunch, I told him like, "Hey, go look in the cabinet, see if you can find an overall pattern." And he found the actual pattern I was looking for. There we go. I'm not screaming over my heater, but he found the actual pattern. So I was stoked, but I'm not the skinny jeans kind of person. So I had to improvise with the pants. But I have a pair of pants that I bought in Montana, and they're basically a size 38 in Montana is a lot different than a size 38 in California, apparently. Did you say those pants are leather? They're pleather. Hey, Phoenix, how's it going? Yeah, those pants are pleather, and they're I want to fix them because I make clothes to wear them, and so I just don't want them laying around. And there's got to be a way to fix those pants. There has to be a way. Well, I have yet to find a pattern. Walmart. That's what I'm saying. Like Isaiah went and looked and he found it instantly. I never have luck. That pattern looks like nurse scrubs. Okay, so the old school patterns, they have the old school and the new school patterns in there. So I actually love that. Oh, right. It's going so they can't be steamed back into shape. I gotta take my glasses off. You know what? That's a really good point. I don't know. Can I steam pleather? That's a gauze. I don't know. I was thinking about just completely cutting the pants in half and then shaping them back, but there's just I overestimated the crotch space, and so there's just tenting in the front, and it's huge. Awesome, awesome. And I'm really I've had this print for a while and I've been taking my time with it. And I know I'm going through a jacket phase right now, but I don't know what to do with my poppy print. I'm really thinking about darts. It's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. I'm like sitting here thinking logistically how you could do it. So after last week's conversation about challenging yourself to actually use the stuff that you have in your house, I went off. I lined my cape. I made a polyester coat. And well, I can't even say it's polyester. I really don't even know what the material is. But this is 100% cotton. But I love this poppy print. And you know, I have 100 coats. I was thinking about making a suit coat with this, but I don't think anybody would get the reference. Pleats are another good idea. Absolutely, Liz. Absolutely. Or pleats. I don't even know. Lately I've just been sewing my face off. I don't even know what it is. But I'm actually really stoked. Hold on. I'm actually really stoked on how my coat came out. Because I'm not necessarily a collar kind of guy. I'm not even wearing a collar now. Do you see this? So when I made my coat, have you seen the Closet Historian's new? No, I have not. No, I have not. I haven't. I've been watching a certain channel over and over again because I've fallen in love with an old TV show. Walk around looking like a couch cushion with that. Definitely like a couch cushion. Do you know? I think a lot of that's what a lot of it is. I love that 1960s, 1970s gaudy style. Like that is absolutely my thing. I love your blue jacket too. Thank you. You know, I have yet to put buttons on that thing. But yesterday in my what's it called? In my video, people were saying like I should do a fashion show, and you know what, I'm really thinking about it. Since I have access to a stage and to my own private gym, I might as well. I love the Closet Historian too. My local 99-cent store was selling these for the longest time, and I always say if you see it, buy it. I need to turn my phone off because they no longer carry mugs that humongous anymore. I guarantee you someone complained because where I live in California, like They try to control the mug size. I fall in love with certain channels. Like I fall in and out with certain channels. Like I'll watch them over and over for like a year, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this person even existed. I totally agree. I need that coffee mug. I need that gaudy look too. Everybody dresses so boring anymore. Gotta compensate. Look like a color bomb. I love throwing people off because I wear like black and white as a combo all the time, or just black, or like a black vest or something. So I love throwing people off, especially like when I've fallen in love with the trench cloak and I wear that thing everywhere. I'm all about fashion over no function over fashion. So if it's a giant coffee mug to be had, I'm all about it. It's actually something that's on my list when I go shopping, like in stores. Like if it's in a reasonable price, I will purchase a giant coffee mug. Especially these because they get dropped or left outside. And I have there's a trash panda that lives somewhere around here, and that thing will drag off anything that has flavor. Anything, including the neighborhood cat. So you got to be careful. I fixed my overalls. So what I was going off about is that this particular design, it's it looked so much more cool. Mimi G has she's a famous YouTuber. It's not like she needs my plug or anything, but Godless Sewing gets some mug merch. We'll buy them, make a tribute to the delinquency of Godless fabric hoarder. It's not a bad idea. Do you know what justifies everything in this room? Is every time I sell a sewing machine, I'm like, man, that one sewing machine, like if I sell a sewing machine for $1,000, it's worth more than I've paid for most of the sewing machines all put together. So every time I sell a sewing machine, I feel extremely accomplished. I use a small 5-ounce coffee mug from the 1920s, but I also keep my coffee pot right next to me, so it kind of doesn't matter how big the mug is. You know what? I used to do that, and then I recently got a Keurig, and I'm blazing through those K cups because I'm a coffee pot drinker. I love wearing color when I'm not in my security uniform. Do you know when I worked in downtown Portland, I would always have the brightest shoes because I worked at a Carl's Jr. The uniforms were drabby. This was, gosh, 20 years ago. But I would always make sure that my shoes were as shiny as possible. Have you made a kilt yet? And would you wear it? Yeah, I had a whole video where I made a kilt and I wear it all the time. I actually love the kilt. The kilt was quite freeing. I had a great time wearing the kilt. I'm probably gonna make another one. I'm thinking about going to downtown Los Angeles because um I need to go to the fashion district and I haven't been there in a long time. Laugh out loud, I couldn't do the Keurig. I'd wear it out in a week. That's what's happening. That's exactly what happened with me. Like, it looks really cool on the desk. It's what I do is I'll brew coffee and I'll drink it. And to warm up my coffee, I'll throw the Keurig K cup in there. Like, well, it's heating up my coffee while adding more coffee. But yes, Gen X Soista, I am all about the ridiculousness. So yeah, I wore a kilt around my town, and um funny thing, there's quite a few people that wanted to say something, but they didn't say a word to my face. I live in a weirdly conservative part of Southern California. So like I'm walking around with my kilt laughing, and like certain people literally stopped what they were doing to look at me. But that's part of the fun of bringing color to such a drabby, hate-filled world of people who hate themselves. Like, I'm not, I'm not here to be a psychologist, but I'm just living my life and enjoying myself. And I'm not, I'm not harming anybody by wearing crazy clothes. Yeah, Commander 401, if you have a you know what? I'll just put the link in the chat, and if any if any riffraff jumps in, I just won't let him in. There we go. And that goes for anybody. If anyone wants to jump in, please feel free to hop in. And I think I still have the mega stream yards where I could have quite a few people. Kilroy was there's Keurig pads are way overpriced. Okay. So I agree with you as someone who drinks coffee, like my name was Janeway. Um I can buy a giant bag of Starbucks for $20, and for that same amount you get like, what, 15-20 K cups. It doesn't equal out at all for the amount of coffee that you get, like for a Keurig. They're bad for the environment. Are you saying the process they're made, or just adding a ton more plastic to the world? Because I can see that. Like we pointlessly use plastic knowing that it's not biodegradable. Where was it? There was a grocery store by my house. They have biodegradable cups, and they got kind of popular because people started going there, and you could take the cup, throw it in the ground, and it'll grow a plant. But I bet it was more expensive to make that cup than anything else. Janeway ain't got nothing on me. It's my coffee. If there was ever a religion, it would be sitting around drinking coffee. You can get reusable K cups. I was thinking about that too. That's a very good point, because I was thinking about I need one of those because I drink a large amount of ground coffee. I figured it was a plastic thing. Do you know, Phoenix, you just reminded me yesterday I was bragging about the book I found. So I'm constantly cruising for sewing content, looking for things, and I love going outside of my box. I found a book on sachets. I knew what they were, but I had no idea they had a name and a whole world behind it. Let's see if I bookmarked that one part where I was reading yesterday where I was like, oh, how's it going? Am I getting a huge echo? Oh, there you are.
Things are going great. I'm just getting set up. I told you I had something sewing related to show you. I just have to comp the video. I made a straight jacket with cat fur in it.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I'm geeking out on this sachet book. I had no idea there was a whole world behind sachets. And it makes
What's
what's
a
that?
sachet? What
A
is it?
sachet it's a small pouch that you put potpourri in. And it's
So
definitely
that's what
French.
those bags were.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's definitely French. Like, I learned the word trebuchet before I learned the word catapult. So I'd always say trebuchet. And so this is sachet is definitely something French. Sachets is French, pronounced sachets. Well, with my Southern California twang, I can barely speak English.
I hope my audio isn't cracking because it's comping and I wound up rendering it with PNG rather than JPEG, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Let me
No
pull up
worries.
a still.
No worries.
You wouldn't believe how hard it is to get fabrics to do what you want in Blender.
I know. You know, when I jog my memory, I look back and I'm like, okay, I've seen thousands of sachets, but I had no idea there was a whole world behind it. I had no idea. Trebuchet is much more. I love saying trebuchet. And in certain parts, if you scream trebuchet, everybody runs. They used for when they walked in the treats 1700s, so that I didn't smell that bad. I could imagine. I could imagine.
I wanted to build a trebuchet once. That's cat cur with that's a still. I actually have her twisting and around when that, and right now the video's still comping. It's taking about a quarter of a frame per second, and there's like 3,000 frames. So it's gonna take a while, but she's just blabbing on about how Trump is the chosen. So
That reminds me. I wonder if I can send a picture to myself. I took a picture of a young man's truck yesterday that had so much propaganda on it. It was kind of confusing.
you want to know
Y-
something funny? On the Sarcastic Barman's channel, there's one video where CC, a flat Earth idiot, what you just said, Barman offered a cash reward for a picture of his bumper sticker, but he got into a road rage incident where a Trump supporter yells at CC that he's a fucking idiot. And CC says, "Didn't you see on the back? I'm a flat earther. I'm a Trump supporter."
Yeah. No.
I'm sorry I interrupted. Talk
Oh
about the
no,
bumper
no.
sticker.
I'm laughing because they are not necessarily together, but I live in a place where a flat earther went to a lake by my house and tried to prove the earth was flat. So I am not a fan of the flat earthers, and I'm still can't believe I can't remember the guy's name. Is it he's flat earther famous? It's the is it not is it Nathan Thomas?
Oh, Nathan Thompson. Whoa, isn't it a small world? Because when I lived in Virginia, he was prowling the parks near where I lived during the pandemic. And I so wanted to trip him off of that stupid um electric skateboard, but I like chickened out. He was harassing all the NASA employees at the park because, like, during the pandemic, parks were one of the few places where you could go, and he was just making a royal nuisance out of himself. And there's video of him harassing school buses. He just got kicked out, I think, like South Carolina at the time, and
You
arrested.
know,
And he was trying to flat smack Newport News and Hampton school buses.
how's it going, native atheists? How's it going? Do you know people like that will never they won't run up in certain crowds. They look for crowds where they know where people aren't going to punch them in their face. Because you could not get away with that here. Somebody would say something to you if you were ranting and raving like that. Especially if you're harassing NASA employees.
He I don't know what gets into him. I think he wound up trying to work at a weed farm, and then he got in trouble for obviously stealing the product. And he was handing the product he stole out to try to get people to become flat earthers by giving out free weed.
Oh my gosh. That's almost free weed is not worth having to listen to some crazy person rant. I'm sorry. I'd be like, sorry, bro. Get out of my face. You're not worth the free weed. That's that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
That's the last I heard of him. I think he was going the anti-Semitic route of no return as far as his conspiracies anyway.
Okay, so Skits Crasher, would you do you know I'll tell you a really quick story. I lived around Mormons my whole life. I've traveled, I've done all kinds of crazy things, but I had never read the Book of Mormon. Okay. So I
All right.
mistakenly got into a conversation with with a missionary, and about a half an hour into it, I was like, "Hey man, I just want a Book of Mormon." And he's like, "I just can't give it to you." I gave the guy a 20. He's like, "How many do you want?" It was not worth the conversation. I just should have slipped in the 20 originally. So sometimes it's not worth the free weed. I just wanted the Book of Mormon to be in my book collection because I really wanted to know, like, there's one thing in saying, like, oh, watching videos about it or hearsay. No, I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. I want to know. And it's just as whacked out as I thought it would be. That's my
I'm trying to
observation.
look
Oh,
for the video. I
that's my
actually have
observation.
some of those Mormon videos on my hard drive.
Okay. I recently got in trouble with this, Kilroy. That's my observation in my Trumpy area. The hardcore right wingers who want to take over everything also are the most cowardly and never get out of their echo chamber. Okay, so I want to say I agree with you, but I fell into hardcore left crowd, and they were just as hateful and just as like wacko as the right crowd. But I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. But from my experience, it is it's the old school saying. It's not the loud one you have to worry about. It's the quiet one in the corner, and it's always the quiet one. As I've said multiple times before, the Book of Mormon doesn't even make a good rolling paper. A friend of mine told me that the entire religion was based on the fact that there was this lost white tribe of Israel and that like all these whacked out things. And I was like, bro, that is not true. And then I read the Book of Mormon and found out that's what they believe. And that's cool, but I'm not
You
here to
know,
show 60.
can I tell you something?
It was like, thank you. Yeah, of course.
As a Jew and as someone who's worked with people who are part Native American, I've had rednecks accuse me of being related to my coworker who, well, Thomas was cool, but the other one wasn't. But the rednecks actually made that joke.
Oh, wow. The book. Because I grew up I grew up in a semi-Mormon controlled area. I really didn't notice till I was older. Like I had a stereotypical childhood. I played soccer, baseball. I had the total like so I can't say all Mormons are bad. Like I didn't even notice until I got into high school. Like really. I had a
Well,
stereotypical childhood,
believing bollocks and being a bad person don't necessarily always go hand in hand. Sometimes it's relatively harmless bollocks.
Don't get me wrong, like there was that when there was that nightclub shooter, the dad was like, I'm a Mormon and this and that. Like I grew up around people like that too, who think I grew up around conservative Catholics, and if you weren't a Republican, they wouldn't even talk to you, you know. I
You
used to
know what I
roll.
would say to them? Oh, so you have Abraham Lincoln as the father of your party and you're white. Can you eat with a tax collector or a sinner? Truly, I say to you, when my great granddaddy on my dad's side, when Abraham Lincoln saw him, he rejoiced. and gave him a commission to crush the Confederacy. You're not the people of Abraham Lincoln. You're the people of Jefferson Davis, the House of Slavery. I have actually pulled that on Nazis. They hated it.
Gilroy, I met some really hardcore lefty crowds because I'm the kind of person that'll go to a protest. Like, not as in my 40s, I can't run as fast as I used to, and I have a bad knee. But in my 30s, I've gone to a few protests, and the newer generation, they're just, man, they want to fight the cops so bad. They're trying to get beat up. They're trying to it's a different vibe, and if you're not with them, they're against you, and like I said, you have to be somewhere in the middle because I live around hardcore righties, and I know people that tell me all the time, oh, you're one of the good ones, and I'm like, that is the most racist thing I've heard all day.
Here's one of those weird Mormon cartoons. I just got it because I thought it was funny. It was so ridiculous. It was funny. It's horribly racist, but it's so ridiculous. It's funny.
I grew up watching, I can't remember what it's called, but it was Christian propaganda. And I was raised Catholic, but it was always on TBN. Oh, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, late 80s, 1990s cartoon style. Yeah,
Some of those weren't bad. And actually, there's one. It wasn't. Let's just say it was. There's one about Hanukkah that was actually produced like in the late 80s or mid 80s, that it was not necessarily a religious series, but rather a historical series. And I actually watched that. Finish what you're going to say. I don't want to run over you.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say, because I grew up with, I'm like an oops baby. And so I grew up watching what my brothers and sisters watched. And I love 1960s Scooby-Doo, 1970s. Like, I love
Scooby-Doo. And the reference to the Scooby snacks, the Scooby snacks, of course, were some sort of drugs.
I have a mystery machine in here that's filled with sewing machine parts. I love Scooby-Doo. What's really funny, Phoenix, I used to smoke to Veggie Tales and Roly Poly Oly. My friends and I, I'm such a geek. We would put like Weezer, the Blue album with like, Do You Want to Pull My Sweater? I am aging myself. We would put it on and we would put like that, like Veggie Tales and Roly Poly Oly. And, we would smoke and sometimes they would go. And like dumb 14 and 15-year-olds, we'd be like, whoa, that's so cool. We still make fun of ourselves for that one. I couldn't handle the patriarchy in the Mormon religion. I remember being 13 and feeling like my only future was wifehood and motherhood. I rebelled at 13 and because of that, among other reasons. Oh yeah, we used to smoke to Veggie Tales. Liz, I can only imagine. I grew up around hardcore Catholics, but Catholic religion is so different because they're like, oh, do what you want. Like when you turn 18, you can do whatever you want. They were more trying to coax you into being Catholic. Those were the good old days when we would smoke and watch cartoons. Now there's cartoons that are, there's people my age making the cartoons. So it's basically like the entire time when you're watching it is like a music video. But because I'm from the music video generation, that's why I make my videos the way I do. Because I was obsessed with late 80s MTV. Did you ever watch MTV, Commander?
Oh, yeah. Can I tell you the first time Beavis and Butthead went on the TV? My grandfather came into the room and saw Beavis and Butthead with digging in their pants, going, and he threw a 10-pound piece of lead crystal right through the television set. And that was the first time we saw Beavis and Butthead, and the last time for quite some time. That was when it was still raw, and they were putting cats into
Yep. Yep.
the dryers and setting things on fire. So that was really close to it. The
Old
beginning.
school. The one thing I loved about old school Beavis and Butthead is they would show music videos that not even MTV would necessarily show. And so you'd see like certain bands that were never really on TV, or they showed an Aussie video on Beavis and Butthead. I loved Beavis and Butthead as a kid.
One
See,
of my favorite. I'm
oh, go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
One of my favorite Beavis and Butthead skits was when they were sitting outside the convenience store drinking, and the cop checks and says, gives them a sobriety test, and they failed miserably. And they say, "Okay, we're taking you two in because you're drunk." And then he looks at it and say, "Wait, this is not alcoholic beer. You two aren't drunk. You're just stupid."
um, have you seen the new Beavis and Butthead that's on Paramount Plus?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Working, I haven't gotten there yet.
Do you are you a Trek fan? Star Trek fan at all?
Oh yes. Ooh, look at the background. And um I've rendered thus far about a minute's worth of a adaptation of the Next Generation, but with the penguins and the shill ship. I need to just go where the ship goes, whoop, 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 and then it's done.
I'm
That's why I have this. I'm
I love
sorry, I
that.
don't.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say to Ollie Furball, Ollie Baba Furball, when I got my first truck, I'm such a homer. I would play Dr. Feelgood over and over and drive around because I thought I was so tough. I love Motley Crue. So what I was gonna say about Beavis and Butthead is that on Paramount Plus, I'm a hardcore Trekkie. Like I'm a geek. Um, I literally have stacks of old Columbia House, Next Generation, and the original series right in front of me because it's my comfort thing to do when I'm bored. I put it on and watch old VHS. So I have Paramount Plus, and they're all conglomerates now. So Paramount Plus has MTV, BET, VH1, like all of these. My favorite Beavis and Butthead was when they were banned from laughing at school. That's a great episode. Yes, Native. So on Paramount Plus, they have new episodes of Beavis and Butthead, but they had the Beavis and Butthead movie. Okay, I'm not gonna give it away, and I'm covering my face in shame because it's kind of funny. I cried at the end of the movie because I'm such a nostalgic homer. I literally cried at the end of the movie, and it's not even that good. So you guys should go check it out. There's a new Beavis and Butthead movie out. My brother is in the last Gene Roddenberry approved short series book. That's awesome. I love Motley Crue. Oh, that's awesome. I know they used to film the Power Rangers and a show called VR Troopers and oh, what was the other show? Beetleborgs in my neighborhood. And my mother still gets royalty checks from the Power Rangers because they showed
Was your house in it?
Yeah. They if you know my neighborhood, they try to make it look like one continuous street, but I grew up on a cul-de-sac, and so they walked up one end of it, and then like you see my neighbor's house, and they try to make it look like they're still on the same side of the street. Was that the movie with the FBI looking for them, and they made another Beavis and Butthead movie? It's the well, no, in the new movie, it explains why there's such a hiatus. I don't even want to give it away. I don't want to give it away because they like it's total like they modernized it, you know. But they did some definite hand wavy TV space science with that one. Like Doctor Who said, just because you put space in front of it doesn't make it extra special. But
Doctor Who is a great series.
I quote Doctor Who all the time. All the time. Do you have a particular doctor that was like your love? Mine was always Tom Baker. I have a ton of Doctor Who on VHS as well because I'm a hoarder. But I fell in love with Peter Capaldi.
Well, I wound up only starting to watch it, say, about 3 years ago, and after COVID, I wound up. Well, not after COVID. After I wound up getting. When COVID happened, I wound up falling out of watching it. And then, but I'm trying to remember. It was the doctor who was a little bit more goofy, kind of was one of the newer ones.
Matt Smith?
You'd have to show me a picture, but
Is
it's
it
almost like Bill Nye.
Oh, that's Matt Smith. The chin. Bow ties are cool. You know, it's really funny. After David Tennant, David Tennant was a doctor for almost 3 or 4 years. They made a ton of movies. And when David Tennant, when Matt Smith, when David Tennant regenerated into Matt Smith, I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. And I kind of watched the first season. I fell in love with Matt Smith. I absolutely love Matt Smith's doctor. I can't say, which doctor is my favorite anymore because they all have their qualities, But I fell in love. And there's the I believe it's the 50th anniversary special with John Hurt. I watched that so many times. I'm one of the reasons it got taken off of Netflix because the BBC was like, we can make money off of saps like sewing. Because now you have to pay to watch Doctor Who.
I think the Daleks are so goddamn ridiculous, they're actually funny.
Do you know what's really funny? In certain parts of this world, if you got a life-size Dalek and you put it in the middle of the street, people would run from it.
Let me kill you with my plunger.
They make it look awful in the newer Doctor Who. When they suck the person's face, I'm like, oh, that is on the list of a terrible way to die. No, thank you. If Daleks were real, I would run.
Just find your nearest stairs, and it will take them about a minute to get up using the rocket boosters.
Okay, so Gilroy, you're kind of spot on. I was a bit of a sick kid because of my asthma, and like I've always had a low immune system, so I would catch anything. I was always home, and I loved watching PBS. That's why I have Nancy Zeman as the thumbnail of this stream. I grew up watching public television, and they always had Doctor Who on there, and so I got caught up in eras that were from before I was born. And so when they did the reboot where Christopher, I can't say his last name, the Ninth Doctor, Erickson, Eccleston, I can't say his last name, but I fell in love with the series, and they were constantly going back to the older ones. So the only reason I fell in love with Doctor Who is because I watched it as a kid. Be safe, Liz. It's crazy and cold out there. Yeah, exactly. 4 decades. Yeah, it's a lot. And because of Comic-Con, I got really into the first Doctor, but you have to really be into Doctor Who to watch the first 2 Doctors.
I've seen some of the old clips, and it looks well. You got they're basically older British gentlemen. One of them exactly. Looks like Mark Twain.
That's the first Doctor. I have somewhere in this room. I went to Comic-Con. Yikes! 6 or 7 years ago, okay, I went to Comic-Con and I got the original TARDIS instead of they were like, they had all these bobbleheads. I was like, no. So I got the original TARDIS. And as I'm walking with my TARDIS, I see Mark Hamill sitting by himself. And for some reason, it was the saddest thing on earth. I took a picture. I need to go find that picture. And now Mark Hamill has already got his flowers. This was literally like 10 years ago. And I say 10 years, it was probably longer. Everybody was there to see Richard Dean Anderson. And so was I. I'm a Stargate homer. When it comes to Stargate, it's another show that I because I was home all the time as a child. I loved that show. I absolutely and I
Stargate
own
SG-1 every day coming home from school. Watch that.
I love that show. I own all the DVDs. That's another series I put on when I'm having a bad day. Yeah, Native Atheist. Okay, so this was like and he was there because Mark Hamill is the Joker. Mark Hamill is the voice of the Joker in many series. And a lot of people didn't know that. But he had a lot of his Star Trek stuff out. I'm sorry, Star Wars. I know it's blasphemous, but it was just the weirdest thing because every booth was filled except for Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, this was decades ago. Now Mark Hamill's a total hit. Everybody loves him, but it was just the weirdest thing. And my brother brings it up every time I see him. He's like, "Do you still have that picture of Mark Hamill by himself?" The thing is funny about Doctor Who is they originally made it to help teach science and history. Now you have crazy sci-fi shit and alternative worlds all over it. Oh, they go off. Doctor Who goes off. I don't, are you a con fan? Like, I don't think I'll ever go to another Comic Con or any of it ever again because it's just become so commercial and overpriced. Like, I'm embarrassed to
Um,
say how much money I paid for my TARDIS. I'm embarrassed.
I have only been to one thing like it. That would have been NekoCon. Despite the Japanese anime style character here, I'm actually not a huge fan of a lot of it because it just gets weird.
Oh, totally. Totally. Like, I'm really into anime, but I watch a lot of this shocker. I watch a lot of this stuff from like 1980s, like Wicked City, Akira. I'm obsessed with Dominion Tank Police. It's probably in my VHS player right now. Actually, no, it's like right there because I've been watching Star Trek lately. But I love 1980s anime. The newer stuff isn't necessarily I watched a lot of the Adult Swim stuff, but it just depends.
I looked into how to produce it because before I got the RTX card, rendering anything of any length, it either looked like relative crap or it had to be some kind of cartoony style.
I'm obsessed, Kilroy, to the point where if I see any VHS or DVD of the stuff from my era, I buy it. This Dominion Tank Police. That was my introduction to Cat Girls when I was a kid. I loved this. I absolutely love anime. It's one of the things that like I've been into since I was a little kid. So true story. I know I totally just doxed myself. But this place is still open. If you are ever in Southern California and you're on my side of town, they sell old anime VHSs. I just like every time I go in there, I walk out with a box of VHS tapes.
How's the quality of the VHS tapes holding up? Because after so many years, it starts to degrade.
That's a really, really good question. It depends on how many times the it was watched before. So, like on the really popular stuff, um, a lot of it, you'll put it in and you'll know instantly, even if you clean the heads on a VHS, which if you're around my age, you know what I'm talking about. So if even if you clean your VHS, it still won't play it because a lot of the time it's not the tape, it's the fact that there's dust on your VHS. So, long story short, I recently bought Sherlock Holmes like at my local Goodwill, and I brought it home, and it's the one where they're on the boat to Algiers, and I'm all into it. The entire end of the movie is scratched out because someone had watched that part over and over and over. So it all depends on how well the person before you took care of the.
There's
Yeah, they do.
the
Oh, go
there's
ahead.
the rant. I'm sorry. There's her just ranting.
Absolutely. Oh, hold on. Let me. I'm gonna make you big for a second. Oh, I need that room sometimes. I
That's
have an.
Cat Kerr. Supposed to be anyway.
I have an old Samsung VHR from VCR from the mid '80s. I accidentally knocked over a coffee pot on that thing, and it still works. I'm telling you, those things are beasts. You can get cleaner machines still for the VHS and beta cassettes. I didn't think of that. I need to Amazon. I'm the crazy person who's DIY everything. I recently watched a video where they show you how to clean it with long Q-tips. So I went and I because I'm the real life Grady Sanford, I collect old TVs that have VHS, the combos or old VHS players. I have coffee accidents all the time where I'm like, it's always Twitter. Like Twitter is awful. I'll see an awful video on Twitter and I'm like, what did I just watch? And I'll just throw my coffee cup across the room. It's a bad habit. That's why if you ever see in my video, like the coffee cup will be on a table behind me. That's because I've come close to knocking it over a couple of times.
Twitter was always putrid before, and now it's getting worse now. Elon actually stopped a BBC documentary of Modi. He censored a documentary of Modi because it wasn't flattering.
But now you can say the N word or the J word over and over and over, or the K word over and over. It's uh, if I every time someone and I'm not saying unsubscribe. So every time someone subscribes to me on Twitter, I'm like, I guess I have to keep going. I've just stopped doom scrolling because I used to watch a lot of like political stuff, but it's just once all the racist and angry 15-year-old kids are back, it's not worth it anymore. I picture a lot of these people as like some angry kid at their mom's house. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is some scary grown adult who really does want to harm me for no reason, you know?
What if it's a scary grown adult that wants to harm you for no reason? That is an incel living in his mom's basement, and he's basically 40. And because he's a miserable, hate filled sack of shit, he hasn't been able to get laid yet. And he hasn't realized that's because he's a miserable, hate filled sack of shit.
I look at the average, like when I see something crazy on Twitter, I always think of that. I'm like, what brought you to that point? That's why my Twitter is the stuff I sow and some quote, some book I've read, um, something.
Reading books, how it'll lead us.
No, I'm laughing because I always quote Eric Hoffer. I'm just a huge Eric Hoffer fan, and I've laughed because I was like, should I give away my secret or not? It doesn't matter. No one would eat like Eric Hoffer is just a great author. Go check out Eric Hoffer. I love I'm just a huge stan.
Like what particular genre does he write?
It's a lot of his I basically it's he wrote a book on mass movements. That's the one I quote the most because I feel like it's the most applicable to today's time because like we figured this stuff out in the 70s and like when I see people joining mass movements, I'm like, don't you realize that's going to fizzle out and you'll feel just as unfulfilled as when you joined? Like we've already had like with anti-Semites, I'm like, we've already had this conversation. Why are we having this conversation again? You know? So when I just feel like people need to be warned about mass movements because you get swept up by emotion, but like, what is it really doing for you besides just adding to the hysteria of today? You know?
Well, the whole satanic panic of the 1980s is paralleled in all the QAnon conspiracies, and all the QAnon conspiracies are paralleled in Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is the original source of most of the anti-Semitic bullshit. So it all bubbles up again.
Oh, exactly. It's just weird
Everything
to me.
cycles.
I'm weird to my main entertainment is books and music anymore. The community around everything else is so damn cutthroat and toxic. Yes. Yes, I would consider communities that I were in were extremely toxic. You know, I agree with you. That's why I've gone back to watching my weird 1980s, 1990s sitcoms and just reading all like the obscure crud that I've always been reading. Like right now, I'm rereading James Baldwin's Giovanni Room. Oh, there's Captain Captain Hand.
Hmm.
I wonder if he's done anything that I've asked him to.
He might not listen.
He's of that age where it's entertaining. I'm all about life lessons. I'm like, okay, if you do this, like you can stay up all night, but you still got to get up at the crack of dawn. You got to get up, and I'm just as energetic when I wake up as that when I fall asleep. I've rewatched MASH and Seinfeld like a billion times. That
Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes.
every
That was
year,
the original song.
every year on Christmas, every year without fail, I'm like, Merry Christmas and Happy Festivus for the rest of us.
Now the
Every year.
airing of the grievances.
Yeah. Have you seen the episode where George Costanza is trying to get the apartment and they have like the misery off with the man who survived? Well, everyone survived the Andrea Doria. And like the guy tells his story about the Andrea Doria and how the boats came and saved everyone. And then George Costanza sits down and says, and then my mother. And then they cut and he's talking about his life and about how miserable his life is. And so I love that. I just love that episode. Do you know what? I'm kind of the same. Native Atheist MASH reminds me of like if my parents hear this, I'm gonna get in trouble because I should be asleep right now. MASH came on at a later time, and they replayed it. I guarantee you, right? You know what's really funny? I have the theme song of MASH in my head right now. I guarantee you, if I turned on my television, which I should because there's hockey on, I bet. Um, I guarantee you, MASH is on some channel somewhere. MASH was a good
It's
show. Oh,
great.
go ahead.
Well, they played off each other so well. And then you had Ferret Face, you had Hot Lips Houlihan, you had
Absolutely.
Radar, who was slowly but surely sending an entire Jeep home mail order. You had Corporal Klinger, who brought it all together. Um,
Do you I'm because I grew up oh whoops. You know, LA news is so sad. Like our local news, like it was on for 2 seconds and they're talking about a shooting that happened yesterday. We had yet another mass hooting again.
That
L
kind
was
of really sucks.
oh, it's
They even
insane.
bulletproofed the street lights, from what I hear. Now
Depending
you
on where
need
you
to hit it in the same place multiple times before it goes out.
L was an army brat, so I could get into L was an army brat, so I could get into MASH. My favorite part of Seinfeld are the Kramer plots because I come up with crazy ideas and try to make them work out. Like Kilroy, you and I would get along too. I'm like, who speaks French? I'm that guy that walks into a room and I'm like, I have a new idea. We're going to Zimbabwe.
Then, of course, all Kramer's crackpot lawsuits that he winds up scuttling, and that I'm forgetting which lawyer that was who at first Kramer shows up and is like, no, 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 no. And then somehow he winds up working for Kramer anyway,
Is
and
that
the
Jackie
lawsuits
Mason?
never work out.
Is that Jackie Mason?
Ye-
Is that who? It's been
I
so long since I've watched that show.
Most of my Seinfeld watching was just I had no interest in it when it was on, and it was just an annoying relative that an annoying racist Roman Catholic relative that we wound up accidentally burying in a Reformed Jewish cemetery.
That's awesome. Jackie Chills? Chills. Oh man, LAUSD failed me. Oops, should have been. Oh, you're an army. Should have been. I am an army brat. Oh, okay. I grew up. I don't know if I'd call myself an army brat. Like my dad was way retired by the time I came around, but I grew up in a very military style family. My brothers and sisters can be considered army brats. Kramer's lawyer. I didn't tell you to put that bomb on. It was a great show. It was like kind of a weird family tradition in my family. Like we would watch Seinfeld and then wrestling because everyone in my family was really into wrestling back in the old WWF days. So they were like one right after the other.
Trying to remember what those pillow kind of wrestler toys that they also made in Ninja Turtles were called.
Say that
They
again.
had
Sorry.
ones that they had all the wrestlers from the WWF
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
pillow form, but I can't remember what they were called.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. I just burped. Excuse me. I had a Hulk Hogan and an Ultimate Warrior. Were they called My Buddy?
That sounds familiar.
He was like because there was also My Pet Monster. I had one of those as well. And there was My Buddy, My Pet Monster. It was all around the Chucky era. Yo, you're right. You're right. Once someone's in the military, like I'm the only one out of all my brothers who wasn't in the military, and if you get us all in the room, you can tell. You can tell. Yay, Liz, you're back. You survived. My dad was in the army, but I get the impression that he joined so he could get away from his nuts so religious parents. Also, it gives you an education. Like my brother moved away because of my nutso religious parents, and he got it gave him an education. I was obsessed with the WWF as a kid. I was too. It was that era though. Do you know? I try to explain this to my son, like when he'll say, "Oh, a lot of people were into this or that," and I'm like, because back in the day we didn't have the internet. Like there was certain entertainment that everybody was into because that's all we had. Everyone knows who Hulk Hogan is, like of a certain age.
Everyone knows every name of the Ninja Turtles if you're a certain
Exactly.
age. And you remember Shredder and God, I remember all of those movies.
Somewhere
Nickelodeon had a series that the last one that they did was probably the closest to the original. And lo and behold, it lasted the longest until they tried to get weird. If it was brothers just fighting all the time, it lasts forever.
I got into because I when Isaiah was younger, he started watching cartoons and it was like a second childhood. And they had this version of the Ninja Turtles where they were in outer space and they showed the destruction of Earth. On the first episode, the turtles are like, whoa. And they go back in time. Do you know, because Nickelodeon was chopping it up and they weren't showing it they weren't showing it like one episode after another. One day, I dropped my son off at school. I was like, you know what? I'm a grown adult. I went to Walmart and bought the series. It was actually really well produced.
What I mean
Module
is, like, when they blew up Earth, they had actually, I think the one before that was the CGI where they were just brothers. Yeah, you had Karai and you had, you know, Baxter Stockman in the brains, and they kept it pretty close to what the original was for a while, but then they took it somewhere and it got canceled in a few seasons.
I love, I'm 50-50 on reboots because like there's certain movies like the Poseidon Adventure in the 90s that was the tip of the iceberg. We had no idea that Hollywood had run out of ideas. And so I was like, why are they redoing the Poseidon Adventure? Because the original was awesome to me. I There's a lot of remakes that I will refuse to watch because I'm such a purist. But when it comes to certain things like Star Trek, at first I was like, you're redoing Star Trek? I loved what was the oh man, I'm gonna go to Star Trek Purgatory for this one. Oh, what's his name? Chris Pine. Is that his name?
I don't know who you're talking about.
When they did the reboot with the new Captain Kirk.
I don't know the name of the actor, and I don't think I saw that movie.
They were really well made. Spock, the real, Leonard Nimoy was in them. They were really well made. I am obsessed with Macho Man Randy Savage, guys. Like that guy, I dress like him. During the summer, cowboy boots, jeans, and a cutoff t-shirt. And
You
some
know
sort
where
of
you know where cowboy boots come from? They
where is that?
actually originated in southern Florida. Davie and Cooper City are arguing with each other as far as where cowboy boots came from, but it's one of those towns. And in fact, if you Google Davie, downtown Davie,
Uh-huh.
they did the zoning laws so that the entire street going where City Hall is, I'm trying to remember, it's not University Drive, or it might be University Drive, but basically the main street in front of City Hall, every building looks like an old Western building.
I love that. I love that. They did that to my local downtown because our town was founded by a very famous silent movie star. And so, because he was a cowboy, everything down there is cowboy theme. I absolutely love going down there. And they still at they turned his home into a park. It's his home was this giant acreage, and they still have buffalo there.
And Davie was home to the first two-story McDonald's, even though they never opened the second story up.
That's awesome. I So they're arguing over who was the first to invent the cutoff sleeves, huh?
No, cowboy boots.
Oh, okay. That's like
It comes from one of those towns.
where I live. The argument was over the term Surf City. Orange County, they had deemed quite a few towns Surf City, and Northern California was like, excuse me, we invented this. And so there's the great debate of who invented the term Surf City. L- LA really is wild. I made movies now. I'm gonna start a high school is named after him. The roads are named after his wife. The like you you can and this is on the old side of town. This is like on because I live on the west side of that particular town, and it's like it's a drive over there, but yeah, LA is crazy. Burbank, California. We used to always jokingly say that John Wayne, Humphrey Bogart, who else? They all fought World War II from Burbank, California. I was watching a Sammy Davis Jr. movie where he was a Buffalo Soldier, Burbank, California. So that entire area, all those hills, like all those old spaghetti westerns were filmed in one area.
The reason why LA became, your area became the capital of movie production was because Thomas Edison invented the motion picture camera, and he basically wanted too much money for royalties for every adaptation of it. So they moved what was becoming the motion picture capital, which was New Jersey. They just moved everything so far away where they didn't have to pay Edison.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Imagine how many different camera designs they came up with, and Edison wanted a piece of all of it.
I agree with you, butterfly on my wall. Edison, the older I get, like, and the more I hear about Edison, I'm not pro Edison. he was a he was a bit of a vulture, but like, I don't know. If I had the money, I would exploit other people's talents as well, because that's just what humans do to each other.
Well, he was dishonest. Tesla, for example, is a prime example. Edison promised Tesla something, and then when Tesla delivered, he's like, I was just joking. I promised you money, and that's just what we call a joke when I promise you to pay you a certain amount of money, right? And then you deliver, and then so he went to work for Westinghouse and put Westinghouse on the map, and then later Tesla went mad, and very sad.
Very sad. Tesla was a hero of me when I was a kid, because there was just books about Tesla, and Tesla very much got screwed over by life. So imagine if New Jersey was the movie capital of the world. But I will say, in California, they're just as gangster as they would be in New Jersey. Hey,
Hey, how's
Hi,
it going?
Skits. How you doing?
how's it
Doing
going,
good,
Uncle
Commander.
Skit?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Yeah.
Awesome.
She's
Happy Uncle Day.
thank you. Yeah, she was born a little small, 5 pounds 9 ounces, but doing good and good times.
That's awesome. Bringing life into the world is a beautiful thing. That's awesome. That's something definitely to be celebrated.
Absolutely.
Where I'm from, we'd be everyone else, I'm an asthmatic, says the guy smoking pot, but they'd be smoking cigars and drinking. That's awesome. You're getting a ton of congratulations. My theory is Singer made the electric machines in Canada to get away from the US patents. Okay, Alibaba Furball, I agree with you. There's quite a few machines that I have Singer made their machines around the world to get away with it. Yay!
Thank you.
Yes, that's skit.
Hey, Data.
And this wonderful background is provided by my thrift store that I go to in the valley. Do you know what's so funny? People get desensitized by where they're from. I have a friend who lives in Oregon, and she sends me pictures, and it's like this beautiful river, and I send her pictures, and it's like, oh, look at this tagging on this building.
Fair.
Singer started in Canada in 1886, in the UK in 1887. Interesting. The Singer's history is out of control. Like Isaac Merritt Singer was a real life pirate. He had 19 kids. The company banned him to the UK. Like he was a real life pirate.
Wow.
And none of the Singer children, he basically signed off the rights, so they don't have the right. Even though they have the last name, they have no rights to sewing machines.
So who got the rights?
The company, the board of directors.
Oh, fair enough.
Because if you
pissed,
it's because he was kind of crazy. He knew how to make sewing machines, but he was kind of crazy.
Fair.
His history is so interesting because anyone who gets banned, I'm like, ooh, I want to know how. Like, I had a friend who got banned from Canada, and it's a very interesting story. For life, Canada does not play.
I mean, how bad does it have to be to get banned from Canada?
They're very smart. They actually have extremely strict immigration laws, and it's because of Americans. So if you have anything above a misdemeanor, you are not allowed to live in Canada. And
you know, if it's hard on like DUIs and things like that too,
wouldn't let you live there. They would not let you live there. Especially if you have habitual DUIs, you can visit. And I could imagine how many Americans tried to abscond to Canada just because of, fill in the blank.
Yeah, I think the night I think it was Trump got elected, the Canadian immigration website crashed from so many hits of Americans looking how to emigrate.
They were probably really surprised when they found out that Canada has real laws.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna go and live there now.
Yeah, it's not.
They kind of want you to be able to work, and you need at least a high school diploma. They preferably want more.
I'm going to say something really sad because I found it out to be true. Like, that is very true. But in any country, if you try to immigrate there, because I tried to immigrate to Australia a couple years ago, and all they care about is what is in your bank account. And if I have been looking into why he got banned. Oh, there's many different theories of why Isaac Singer got banned, but he was a real life pirate. I went to get a Singer featherweight with a blue case from Canada. Yeah, that's awesome. And Canada is in the paradise. A lot of it. No, I say this all the time because I went on a run with my father from Vancouver, Canada to Saskatoon. Canada is not like it's not what people think it is. The people are nice, but they're just as nice in Maine.
I think if you're an American moving to Canada, it would, every country has its shit. It's just that if you're not invested in Canada's shit and you don't get invested in it, that might be helpful. Or else you'll just probably become disillusioned. But I know they don't have the same level of hatred that we have here.
I think it's just like anywhere else, though. When you involve humans, you're gonna have
Well,
problems.
humans suck.
And
Humans suck.
Phoenix, you are totally right. Like Canada has major problems right now, and I didn't even know about the whole euthanasia thing until you were talking about it yesterday on your live stream. Like they have hardcore problems. That member made the pumps for the CSS Hunley, a Civil War sub. Interesting. This is what I hear. Singer broke many laws and got away with it. Their bill C-15 and others, they have residential school history. They have, oh, wow.
Yeah, in Canada, they found out that the Catholic Church was basically killing Native children and hiding it for years and years and years and years. And
So
there's major frictions.
when
Right
people, sorry, when people were burning down Catholic churches, I was really conflicted because, like, I'm when I was younger, I would be really quick to join a protest, like, don't burn stuff down. But when I found out what they were doing, I was like, burn it down. I'll bring the marshmallow. They were finding massive graves underneath these churches. Massive. And people kind of stopped talking about it because everyone was like, I'm kind of conflicted here. The media really stopped talking about. I bet you it's still going on right now where people are like, I bet you they have security guards in most of the Catholic churches because the Catholic Church has money.
See money. Okay.
Yeah, Liz, that was so. Now I might be quoting this wrong, okay? Because I smoke a lot and I hear my ears are clogged half the time. Canada has legalized euthanasia for disabled adults. And as somebody who was born with their lungs not correct, who has a real life disability, I am really conflicted on this.
Is it that the adult decides that I want an assisted suicide versus actually forcing it on someone?
Yeah, I'm really hoping.
No. The person can basically be like, yeah, I'm done. But like, I don't know. There should be like a year of mental health. And then another year of why you still want to off yourself after that.
Well, yeah, I don't want suicide booths like in Futurama.
Exactly. Yeah, Canada's assisted suicide law is being weaponized. Instead of making life better for the poor and disabled people, they want to just kill them. That's gross. That's gross to me. Yep, and it isn't even the half of it. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, and that's the right of disability can get offered. That's yeah, but I feel like we need to talk to somebody. Like, I've been down and out, and all I really needed was a freaking hug. All I really needed was somebody to be like, "Hey, guy, you count too,"
And I'm sure it has to be, like there are limitations on it. They can't be, oh, you're minorly disabled, and I would imagine it has to be something, chronic and
I've tried to off myself before. I went to Charlottesville to try to get Nazis to kill me, but the guys in the balaclavas just told me off when they realized that I had a death wish. They wouldn't let me near the fight.
But tell you from someone who's like half fearless, people are scared of people when you're not scared of them. Especially like I'm 5'9". When I walk up to someone who's 10 times bigger, they're like, nope, this guy's crazy. Or he knows jujitsu. Like this guy's crazy. It's now being opened up to minors. That's gross. That's people can take advantage of disabled people. It's disgusting. We live. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and when they say disabled, are they referring to cognitive disabilities or physical, I'm in agonizing pain every day of my life disability?
If they're
Well,
doing cognitive, then they shouldn't be able to let people who don't understand what's going on kill themselves.
Exactly. Okay, good. Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Yeah. Like that would be scary.
EDS and chemical sensitivities are not great reasons. Yes, technically, the Canadian government can force somebody to go for assisted suicide. Excuse me, but they can make their life miserable as possible, and that's what they're doing. That's just, see, you guys, all you guys that want to move to Canada, I'll send you there. The word, the word disabled is de, is degrading in itself, in my opinion. It literally means without ability. I agree with you. Recent one I heard on the news was a woman with lupus couldn't get a place to stay. Allergy to latex was then offered assisted suicide to deal with it. What the? I'm disabled, so
That's gross.
that's gross. That's what I'm saying. I haven't heard of any of this. That's what I'm saying, Native Atheist. I heard this on Phoenix's stream, and I was like, what? What? You
I
gotta
wonder if Dick has even heard of it.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes, oh man. Could you imagine how many veterans just needed a hug? Just needed someone to be like, my brother joined an evangelical church, and I'm not against it because it helped him with his mental health. More power to you. He does church plays. The guy's he's Scrooge every year. He's the best trained Scrooge on earth. The guy was a master sergeant in the Air Force. But
I mean, that's
yeah.
how I coped when I was in service after I got back from Iraq and dealing with Hurricane Katrina. I, rather than seeking out proper mental health care, I sought out religion because I just needed community, and essentially I needed that hug. And after I got out is when I found out that, okay, maybe I should actually get real help rather than depending on imagination.
The problem is, I'm not too much of a church basher, but the problem is with religion. Like Dick Gregory said this about Louis Farrakhan. Like he would always say, like, "Oh, Louis Farrakhan has all these great ideas," but then he leads you straight to his culty religion, and that's the problem with anything. I'm anti Narcotics Anonymous and AA because I consider it a cult, but it saved people's lives. But I'm really bad at taking instructions. My dad used to always tell me, boy, don't ever join the military. There's something wrong with you. You're really bad at taking instructions. So I don't know.
Well, after working in hell for 5 years and realizing that at least American Christianity was psycho, I went back to the synagogue, and I would have probably killed myself if they didn't let me just hang around and be part of it.
I did the same thing, and after a 10-year, I always talk about how people always ask me, "Oh, how'd you become an atheist?" And I say, "I died." It's because I wanted to, and I'll never forget. The doctor was like, "So you've successfully killed yourself. What else are you gonna do with your life now?" Like, time to get on. Like, you're still here, because my heart stopped. I was technically dead. I've told the story a million times. I was a Portland miracle, But the best advice I got, they were like, "Okay, you succeeded in that. Why don't you go try something else?"
Check that one off your bucket list.
Like you can successfully say that you've done that to yourself.
Start sewing body bags.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. At that moment, I would have walked up if I was in Canada, I would have walked up and been like, "All right, I'm ready. I hear I hear the bell. The circle is finally going to be broken." But I was just in a really bad place. If you're an able-bodied person, can you do that in Canada? I have so many questions now. That just doesn't sound like a good option to have. Look at how many people in America take their own life with their own firearm. I would love to see the statistics of that, compared to other countries where people don't have firearms.
Well, that's why I didn't have firearms, because I knew that probably I would kill myself or my brother would kill himself, and it would just be a giant stupid mess.
I agree.
Or my brother's one of those people who might actually go off and kill people whom he disagrees with. So you don't have those things around.
My thing about religion is take the good and leave the bad. And if it helps somebody without turning them into a crazy person, then I don't have a problem with a person participating in it. Exactly.
The philosophy of Immanuel Kant.
I still there's this one guy I watch in the UK. He's a FOI 5% NOI Muslim. I just think I just like the way he speaks and he yells and he's like animated and he goes to Hyde Park and yells at people. I don't agree with anything that he's saying about religion, but like part of a lot of their religion though is like Jordan Peterson, get up and brush your teeth, make your bed. Like it's about taking care of yourself. And I think there's nothing wrong with self-care. I would have been a firearm suicide if the gun didn't slip out of the last second and put a hole in the cylinder. That's what I'm saying. Like, so euthanasia just seems like maybe I'm an emotional American. I discovered that from traveling that Americans are very emotional. So maybe I'm just talking from my rah Jim Duggins American 1980s flag waving style, but it just doesn't seem like a good it just doesn't seem like a good idea.
I would have figured they would have required you to be like terminal or something where you're in the worst physical pain imaginable, but you still have your psychological things, not just trying to say, oh, we're not going to help you with affordable housing, even though you qualify. Well, you can kill yourself.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson maybe going to a social media re-education camp and keep his psychology. Do you know what's really funny? I'm not one of those parents who tells my kid like, oh, you can't watch this. You're not allowed to. I'm all up in his business. I'm all up in his DMs. I know who's sending him messages and stuff. The only rule I have is you're not allowed he's not allowed to watch Jordan Peterson. I don't like Jordan Peterson. It's quite, and he'll tell people, my dad has no rules except for I'm not allowed to watch Jordan Peterson. I can't stand the man.
Who is he?
He's a Canadian professor that spreads this weird. He's his latest thing is the white replacement panic. He has very undertones of that, like the white male is being replaced and like,
oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Here's what happens. You have one kid for every couple, right? And everyone else has replacement value. You get the nice vacations at Disney World. And then one day you wake up and you realize, oh, crap. And then you say, well, it's not crap. I actually don't care who runs the place, provided that they're not treating other people like shit. So I'm sorry if I bugged you with that.
Oh, no. I'm reading.
But that's how it happened.
Jordan Peterson works for the Daily Wire now. And I forgot. The one thing that ticks me off about Jordan Peterson is that I kind of like his weird suits. People are talking trash about his suits on Twitter. And I'm like, I'd wear that. I'd wear that combo. And we're just as skinny. So I'm probably the same size as Jordan Peterson. We're probably the same size. I've never had a vacay at Disney.
I lived in Florida. I was lucky. If you live in Florida, well, don't go to Florida now because it's a fascist cesspit. But when I lived there, for like $200, you could get a 4-season pass, which gave you like half the year at Disney World for like $200 as a Florida resident. And then you basically get a $30 a night hotel room with coupons. And it was a good thing.
I've
Do
never
you know,
been.
I really quick, Gilroy. I live in chronic pain. If I lived in Canada, they'd probably tell me to go to that's so sad. I used to really like Disneyland, but in Southern California now on a 1-day ticket, it's like 129, 130 a person.
Jesus
It's probably
Christ.
more. And that's just one park. And the California parks are set up where California Adventure is right next to Disneyland. And I think you might have to pay the same just to walk into a park that's literally like 10 feet from the gates of Disney. So it's outrageous. It's the last time I took Isaiah, I spent almost $500 because we got bored and we just started eating, and like their food is so expensive, it's not even funny. This is
Well,
crazy. This is crazy. That's just crazy. I was going on to Hemingway's house in Key West, not anymore. I don't they're unfortunately because of politics, there's certain states that I don't think I've been to almost every state in the union except for Hawaii because my dad was in the Navy and he hated Hawaii, so he never took the family there. But there's a bunch of states I will never go back to. I will never because of certain politics. And it's not even like, oh, I think all the people in that state are bad. It's just they have scary laws.
Florida's one of them. I would
I
not go to Florida. I mean, look at all the poor teachers. They're pulling the books out of all the classrooms because they're worried that, how the heck do they know what book is going to offend people who lose their shit over the green M&M not being sexy enough?
Okay, that's real. That's real. Are they pulling like I thought that was just something on Twitter, but that's real.
No, because the laws are written so vaguely that no one knows what the hell is going to wind you up in prison for 6 years.
I agree with you, Kilroy. There are quite a few laws where I'm like, nope, 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 not going there. And you know what? Nevada and Arizona are the perfect example of politics. Okay, Nevada is a blue state because they have the entertainment industry. And so most people in the entertainment industry either fall under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella or something. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm so over politics in general. It's not even funny. But there's not much of a difference between Arizona and Nevada. Okay. But their politics are polar opposite. Like Arizona is a hardcore angry state now. They have more laws than Texas now. And there used to be the running joke, like, don't get caught in anything in Texas. But now Arizona, you're more likely to get put in the electric chair now. Well, the electric chair. Fun fact.
Texas is too stupid for Governor George W. Bush because Governor George W. Bush thought letting anyone carry a weapon concealed without any kind of licensing or training was stupid. But, I'm trying to remember the governor's name, but this current governor of Texas, I know I did a thing. I wrote something because Abbott, when Alex Jones was talking about how Obama was invading Texas, he was feeding into the fucking morons who were screaming at this poor general or something who was doing a press conference. And he was just feeding into those fucking idiots.
So Gilroy, northern Arizona, like if you go to the Grand Canyon area, if you go like They're awesome people. It's Southern Arizona. It's Southern Arizona where the hillbillies live out in the middle of the desert. That's the scary place. Like even in the city, like in Phoenix, it's still a major city. And so you'll have everything there, you know. It's the scary hillbillies on the outside. So I agree with you. If you're going to the outskirts, it's scary. I lived in Arizona when I was younger, in the early, like, wow, 1999, 2000, 2001, to around there. And like it was culture shock for a Californian, but it was also a really welcoming place. But just like Portland, my references are from 100 years ago. A friend of mine, I was talking to her and I was like, "Oh, Portland, this or that," and she's like, "Bro, Portland is boarded up." She's like, "Oh, she's like, the Portland you remember doesn't even exist anymore." Because I was like bragging to her all the books that I still have that I bought 20 something years ago in Portland. Are there any cities like that, Skits, that like, or Commander, that like you have this like love in your head and they're not anywhere near like that anymore?
Well, that would be like Broward County, Florida in general. See, Broward County, Florida is well, South Florida in general. It's always 30 years behind the rest of the country socially, politically, in a lot of ways. So when I lived there, you had the greatest generation where you'd have the nuclear engineer, the vets, etc., sitting around the pool talking about things that don't rot your brain. And now you have the self entitled baby boomers who ride around in their golf carts with the Confederate flags, screaming shit all over the place because they never had any hardship whatsoever. And, in other words, South Florida is not going to be anything different than what the north, when I lived there, it was the best of the Northeast moving down there, and now it's the most entitled fucking idiots the world has ever seen move down there because all the greatest generation died.
True. Hey, Sydney.
Hey, Sydney.
Hey, and Liz, you know that PDX is like my city. I grew up there. Like, no, not like, grew up there, but I like consider myself growing up there because I went from like a doty-eyed kid and I came out a man. Because you better know how to fight if you live in Portland. I have love for Portland, but it's just sad to see a city that I love just turn into what it is now. It's just sad. Even
If you ever watched the Golden Girls, you wouldn't believe how many old folks like that were just running around South Florida when I
love that
lived
show.
there.
I loved that show. I watched it when it originally aired.
That was my South Florida.
That's awesome. I consider those like that's so sad. That is so sad. What do you think happened though? Because it's a society problem. It's not like we can pick any city and be like, "Oh, it's gone downhill." What do you think happened? I'll say it really quick. I think a lot of people didn't instill the values in their children that they wish that other people had. So you can't say, "Oh, society's going down," if you're not raising your child, you know? And I'm saying that in a nebulous term. And I'm saying that in a way nebulous term. I'm not talking about anyone specifically. I'm just saying, like, we've become, and you know what? I came from that era where all children got beat by their parents. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, you know? So I don't know anymore.
Sometimes I got the whacking, but there were different levels of punishment for different levels of the crime. Because my mom's sister's kids, for example, their dad would go ahead and beat them for the things that they were going to do today in advance.
Oh, wow.
And her kids, hissing, cursing, laughing stock. Some of them are in prison. There's only one of them who turned out relatively normal until the brainwashing of Trump. And it's like the discipline for just discipline's sake wasn't, the punishment had to be tied to a crime. I think it was just the greatest generation had hardship.
Mm-hmm.
You had the baby boom generation really didn't know anything about that, and a lot of them instilled the dog eat dog, devil take the hindmost, just do whatever the hell you want, and that's what we are left with. My mom could explain it better before she had Alzheimer's, but she was a teacher, so she blamed she blamed other baby boomers for basically spoiling their kids rotten.
I was raised by baby boomers, and my parents made me work for everything. My parents were hardcore, and there were rewards. They weren't like mean about it or anything, but like they made me get a job at 14. My parents, they were old school. They're like, "Oh, you're man size. 14, you can go get a." My dad took me down to I don't, we have a crowd that's of a certain age, but to anyone who doesn't know, there was this place that used to exist called Robinson's May. And my dad marched me down, and after school, I would go work in the dock in the back at good old Robinson's May when I was a kid. Because my dad was like, "Oh, you like nice stuff? You want nice stuff? Get a job. You can have anything you want. You can have anything you want because it's your money,
as long as you pay for
it." That's part of it, but also too, in addition to taking care of yourself, actually being considerate of others is another problem the baby boomers had overall, and then they wind up. Well, I don't exactly know how to. As a millennial, and I know Skits, you're a millennial, and you're, God bless, you're probably Gen X.
I'm like right in between both. Depending on what chart you're talking to, I'm either one. It's the weirdest thing because of my age. I'm like right on that weird cusp of Gen X or millennial or elder millennial.
Elder.
Oh, I'm in my 40s, and like when someone I saw this thing on this chart that said I was a millennial, I almost spit out my coffee.
1981 and to 1986, I think, is millennial.
I'm on the cusp. I'm like, so
E3.
Alibaba Furball, because of my parents' age, my dad's grandmother was a born slave who lived to be in her 90s. And so I've spoke to people from that era as well, and we don't even know what hardships are compared to that generation. Like we talk like if anyone's ever seen the movie Ray with Jamie Foxx about Ray Charles, in my own life, people who have been through shit are much more kind. Exactly. And they're the ones who have lived in. Exactly. Thank you, Kilroy. My pops grew up in rural Georgia, and he'd always tell me, like, bro, we didn't have shoes until the winter. Like, he's like, like, I don't think people understand what hardship is. He joined the military at 17 because he was poor. His mom signed for him. And like, I don't think the average person understands that. That level of poverty. When I was a kid, he'd always tell me, don't ever name farm animals, because when he was a kid, they were food. So as a little kid, he'd always tell me, "Don't get attached to the pig. Don't get attached to the pig. We're gonna be eating it in December. We're fattening it up." you know.
Today's
Yes.
pets,
And
tomorrow's bacon.
Yeah. Exactly.
and then with the baby boomers versus millennials or Gen Z, we have a problem where the baby boomers often forget the values that they raised the younger generations with. And then the younger generations are like, what the fuck, old man? And then the old man is like, you damn commie. Well, who taught me? Who taught me to care? Well, I don't want you to care anymore.
Yes. See, okay, Commander, you hit the nail on the head. This is what I always say, and this is my argument. And this is why I'm not too harsh on the younger generation, because I look at like hip hop and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm old because I don't like any of this. But who taught them? Who led them there? They're pretending to be us. Each generation is literally piggybacking off the one before it. No one teleported here. No one magically showed up. And that's why I'm not an ageist, because like I'm biased towards my generation. That's why I put Shalimar. It's cheesy as hell to other people. I freaking love Shalimar because that's from my era. I love that stuff, you know? I don't know. I sit around and think about this because I'm very judgmental, and then I remind myself like, well, they're pretending to be my generation, so I can't like everyone like. I remember going to see Tupac movies, and I think it's weird people are pretending to be Tupac because no one like learned the lesson. The guy got shot. Like the guy challenged so many people, they actually put him out of his misery, you know. My grandpa basically
I
did the same thing. It was either join the Air Force or keep being a bean farmer. Do you know my dad grew up in Savannah, Georgia, and he said all the schools were training all the men to be farmhands and all the women to be maids. He said, like, you know, that's basically what the schools were doing. And it was just that's what people did in those areas.
that kind of sucks. Hey kids, what? Hey kids, go man the combine. It's like you're living in the Soviet Union, but we're gonna pretend it's a good old USA, where they literally wind up knowing only bondage, but thinking they're free.
Kilroy, this is so true. I say this all the time. Like, you can't gripe about the younger generation, man. We're the one, we made them. Like, we made them what they are. You can't beat
There are
people.
people who griped about me when I was quoting FDR's 1934 State of the Union address and all that other stuff, because that's what my grandparents used to teach me about all the great leaders that we had during the 20th century, and then all the baby boomers who I made my life a living hell at the place where I worked. And well, I guess I made their life hell too, but
I don't
I
know.
was actually caring about things that I was taught to care about by the greatest generation, and they didn't come here till late 40s.
When you say the greatest generation, are you talking about the World War II era, the people who went to Germany, or are you talking about
The
the generation?
people who grew up, who came of age during the Depression,
Okay.
who went to fight World War II, who
Yep.
elected Roosevelt, who elected pretty much the best leaders we ever had. The run up until Nixon was, I guess, after Kennedy got shot and whatever, something changed. But that could also be the baby boomers were starting to take over. Or as one of my supervisors at the Edwin B. Stimson Company said, crack cocaine hit the streets the year Ronald Reagan hit the White House, and he thought that it was connected because his cousin got into some bad shit and was running his mouth like Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, don't
But
even get me started on that whole era. Ronald Reagan, like he destroyed the mental health system in America, and he contributed to what we consider now the homeless problem. He dumped massive, they literally emptied all the convalescence homes, what we used to call insane asylums. They just let them out on the streets. And I remember as a kid going to Venice Beach and family members saying, this is like when you see someone yelling and hitting themselves at Venice Beach, they're being like, they would say, this is direct result of Ronald Reagan letting people out, of like cutting,
well,
lending. It's just
no
sad.
one in my family liked him. My grandfather used to be a Republican, but that was only because the unions were stealing stuff off his truck. But he was paying people $4 an hour back in the mid 1970s when he was paying more than union wages. And then when he retired, he became a liberal Democrat again. Of course, that was when you were doing the Southern swap because he retired in the mid 70s. So that was when the Democrats were stopping being the racists, and you had the whole Southern switch. But none of the family liked Reagan. I hope I didn't shut everyone down.
That's it. Was Reagan like the first example of actor gone politician, or do you know?
Oh
If he ever-
yes, he was the first actor. And what's really weird, right? You have a whole political party that's screaming, I don't like it, it's too Hollywood, yet they're the only political party to regularly go for all the celebrities.
Right? Yeah, like Reagan, Schwarzenegger, Trump.
Yeah, Trump. Trump is the kind of man that if he was a Democrat and you changed nothing else about his disgusting behavior or what he accomplished, all the evangelicals would call him the fucking Antichrist.
For real.
And I mean, as far as once he got elected, I grabbed the Bible and I found over 60 points where he could meet a biblical Antichrist. Biblical, not this idea that the evangelicals have that you're going to have an Antichrist be Bernie Sanders and then come in one day and all of a sudden go from happy, fuzzy flowers to the devil all at once. No, it goes right down to the prophet Daniel said that the little horn in the book of Daniel was called Karen. That's the word in the original Hebrew.
I can only imagine, the Antichrist. Oh no, he's bringing us universal health care. Oh.
No, it says he'll be a vile man who'll throw truth to the ground. And he'll be a master of riddles or intrigue, basically conspiracies. Vile man. They say everyone will worship him. Well, there's a difference between worship and love, because Caesar was worshipped as a deity, and the Praetorian Guard hailed him as a god, and the Praetorian Guard killed their gods on a regular basis. So,
where I lived in Mexico, they have patron saints that were drug dealers that were killed by the cops. All, especially in Sinaloa, there are candles, and you'll ask, "Who's this?" and they'll say, "Oh, this guy was anointed by God." So it just depends on where you're from to what you're praying to or what your deity is,
you're just like this thing.
Exactly. That's crazy that Shirley Temple was a UN ambassador. Does anyone know if Julia Childs was really a World War II spy? I used to watch her show as a kid. Like, was she really a World War II spy?
I have no idea who Julia Childs is.
Really?
She was she had a cooking show. She like very famously made, I think it was creme brulee or something. I can't remember it
All
now.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but she had like a dish.
And her voice was very
Oh, I can't even do it. I was trying, but I can't.
triplets.
Exactly. Exactly. For anyone who's wondering, it's cold out here, so I switched my vest and I got my Los Angeles Kings beanie on.
Nice.
Before I forget, because this is a sewing channel and I have been sewing like a crazy person, I reupholstered my chair today.
That's
And
awesome.
so much to the point where I'm forgetting because it's glorious sitting in this chair because I added a ton of cushion in the bottom and the back too. I bought this chair 3 years ago and I was like, I'm gonna go on YouTube. Because you know, you need a chair to live in when you're when you're YouTubing all the time. You need something you're gonna sit in. And I've saved this chair from the dump a few times because I know I'm a crafty person, but I'm all impressed. So hold on, I'm gonna try to make myself big. I'm a bit rusty, even though I've been back for a while. But I reupholstered this thing. And I made the back all like basically. Yes. I wrapped it in denim. And because I'm a crazy person, I sit around and think about these things at night. You see, guys, you should have never invest your life in hatred. Get a sewing machine and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, I wrapped this in denim.
Looks
I'm
good.
a denim fan. Thank you. But it's glorious sitting in this thing because I added an entire bag of stuffing just in the seat.
Nice. So
I'm gonna need a sewing machine soon to. I'm losing a ton of weight, so I'm gonna need to either get a lot more clothes or learn how to bring them in.
The Antichrist was a modern American Christian. Is anybody who thinks that the U.S. shouldn't be exclusively beholden to racist rich white people who believe in Christian fascism. That's so true. It's basically, from my experience, the Antichrist is anyone who doesn't agree with that person. They've said the Antichrist.
Well, that's usually what it is. That's usually how people throw it around.
Sewing does save lives. In a lot of ways, sewing saved mine. I said this a couple weeks ago. I'm all into one person sports, and I surfed for the longest time. But when my son was born, I couldn't go out at 4:00 in the morning and disappear all day anymore. Sewing definitely saves lives. Yay for sewing. Yeah, stay safe, Liz. It's crazy out there.
For real. So just today I introduced my roommate to your channel and he really digs it.
Awesome. Thank you. I did notice the gain a subscriber. Thank you. Thank you. I should reupholster my computer chair someday. It was fake leather and all the fake leather flaked off and now it's gray fabric. Okay, that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this was. I got this at Office Max. I don't know where they call it. Do you have an Office Max where you live, Skits?
Yeah.
I got this at Office Max and I love telling that story. I walked in and I looked for the youngest person and I was like, I need a YouTuber share. The guy looked at me and was like, say no more, fam. I'll never forget that. I was like, yep, I'm in the right place. And this young kid took me over to this chair. Stereotypical red YouTuber chair.
Nice. nice.
But reupholstering this chair has extended the life and saved it. I did a little bit of work on the springs and stuff, but it's completely saved this thing, you know?
Yeah,
I,
I had to get a new chair because I was streaming and with like people, and as you notice, I rock and move a lot, and the chair was squeaking so bad. No matter how much oil and tightening I could do, it was just so bad. And I didn't notice it because because I have my headphones on and everything. But people are like, "Dude, you're like, ah." So,
What
but then
about when the armrests break because they were shut?
is it a clean break or is it
my
like
armrest come off.
because I'm all
Well,
about refurbishing, so I don't give up hope until it's in the trash heap.
well, luckily it basically broke when I moved, just about when I was moving from Virginia. No, I mean, like, you have the thing that can go up and down, but like the actual, you're putting pressure leaning back, and the damn thing is actually, the damn back is being supported by the arm rest
Mhm.
itself, and it winds up cracking.
Oh, yeah. What kind of material is it? Is it plastic?
It was wood.
Oh,
I
Wood.
basically threw it out. I
Wood
got
is.
a brand new one. I spent about $200 on the chair.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That
I
was
am a
my thing. I invested in when I'm old school. I'm like, if I pay more than $100 for something, I'm gonna extend the life as much as I can.
I'm embarrassed on how much I spent on this fucking chair. It's one of those what secret lab. It was like $700 or some shit like that.
I have a 1970s Lazy Boy recliner for my computer chair. I haven't fixed it many times. I have a story after I read Kilroy's. They must have been keeping the arm breakage in mind when they designed my chair. They made 3/4 inch thick plastic though, tough as hell. You know, it's really funny. It just depends on who the manufacturer is and who made it at the time. But I totally agree with you. Behind the flag in my Godless Sewing cape, I have a 300-pound massage chair. I don't know what to do with it. I was gonna get. I honestly like. It's the most comfortable thing in the house, but like the reason it lives in the garage is because it weighs 300 pounds. And
That that's so funny.
once
Do
I
you
took
have a
it,
basement? Is that the issue, where you're afraid it's going to one day fall through your living room floor?
no, in California, there's not too many. I I have like a stereotypical California house. Um, it's just I don't get much help. Like if I had another person my size that helped me, I'd be able to move this thing anywhere I wanted to, you know. But I do a lot of stuff by myself, and I'm a hoarder, so I have a rule when I buy stuff. If I can't carry it, I am not gonna buy it. If I can't carry it to my car, if I so I'm not gonna buy an anvil or like
Just have a random anvil. Like, why'd I buy this?
on one of my early videos back when I really didn't know what I was doing, I weighed because this one sewing machine, every time I pick it up, I'm like, dude, this is more than 40 pounds. I weighed my Canmore sewing machine. That thing weighs 65 pounds.
Jesus.
And I'm like, that's one of the reasons my grandma had one giant right arm because she was constantly, she had a Bel Air and a Singer, and those things were just as heavy. But it's just crazy to me how much that thing wears.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's
Godless blacksmithing. Oh.
my cousin and I, we try to one up each other, and we were woofing about making swords, and I'm this close to digging a ditch in my backyard and making my own and forging my own steel, just to prove him wrong, because I'm a doer and not a talker. So yeah, this, and it's just this one particular year. It's from the 60s. Oh man, that thing is so heavy, it's unreal. And I have
made things out of metal.
Oh yeah, I took it to work because we have industrial scales at my job, and I was like, I want to know the real weight of this thing. So I stood on it holding it. And it's a solid 65 pounds. I'm really wondering what kind of sewing machine Mark Short got, but he's not here today. I'm all curious. I'm going to pull my typewriter out. My main typewriter weighs about 40 pounds. I honestly don't feel the weight anymore. Everybody else thinks it weighs as much as the Empire State Building. Totally. I have a machine at my job called a DR, and like I had to work out to use that thing, but now I don't even notice. It's a brush cutter. And at my weight, if I go flat-footed, that thing will drag me. That's how powerful the machine is.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's made to cut huge fields. My ex-brother-in-law used to do it, but he was 6'7". He used to play for the Raiders, so he made it look easy. When I'm on that thing, I am 5'9".
Oh.
No, you can laugh. It's okay. It's okay.
No, it's not funny.
No, 5'9" is average height around the world, so you can kiss my grits.
That's why I didn't think that there was anything wrong with it. That's average. Although I am an inch taller than you.
The average person is 5'9". In America, we are giants. We are giants in America. You go to other countries, they're like when I was in Mexico, I felt tall until I go into Mexico City, and then it's just like any other city where there's like people, tall people, short people. Just all depends on where you live. That's crazy. You know what? I'm not, as much as I'm not an ageist, I'm not against height either. I dated a woman that was 6'4", and I didn't have a problem with it at all. And sometimes when it gets really cold, I miss her sometimes. I'll never forget I introduced her to my mom, and my mom she thinks no one speaks Spanish. And in Southern California, everyone speaks Spanish. And as we were leaving, my mom's like, "That woman's really tall." She said that in Spanish. That was a long time ago, and I'm still friends with her. But we haven't gone out in years, but we're still friends. But every time I see her, she gives me a hug, and she literally puts her arms over my shoulders. That's how much taller she is than I am. And I wear cowboy boots, so it gives me the illusion of height.
Have you ever been to Mount Vernon or in any of the really old buildings and everyone was 4 foot something?
If anyone came in this house, it would be considered a hobbit house because my father and I built this house, and we were pretty much the same height. So if people who are over 6 feet tall, they walk into my house and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" Everything, I built it for my height, so when I reach for a cabinet, it's about as far as my arm length. So this house is short. 5'1". You know what's really funny, Phoenix? Wow. I had a friend who lived in Phoenix, Oregon. She was 4'11", and she's older than I am. And she just didn't seem that short to me because she always wore really tall shoes. But she was tiny.
Vladimir Putin and Trump both wear high heels.
I do. I'm wearing some right now. I think it's an insecurity. It's a major insecurity. Hold on, how do I do? Oh, here we go. They like I'm 5'9" and they just make me that much taller. It's not like I'm wearing, I call my Shatners. I have another pair of boots. I call them my William Shatners. They give me the illusion of height. Yes, those two skits. I go out of, like, I have what I call my hiking boots. Those things make me feel tall. Damn right, Felix. Damn right. I feel like I am in a tall person. I used to feel like I was in a tall person's world until I started traveling. And I just realized in America, we are tall people. I need a house built for me too. Kitchen counters are always too low, and I bang my head on the ceiling lights all the time. I'm goofy, so I have that problem. And that's why when I built this house, the next person who owns it, they better be my height. But again, I'm 5'9", so the average person is my height. But in reverse, totally. And that was the problem when I moved into this house. It made me feel like I was so short because all the cabinets were far off. It was very 1970s anyways. So when I redid the kitchen, I made everything Hobbit house. My mom, she's like 5'2", so whenever she comes over, she loves it. This house is but I think, do you think that's a cruel thing to do? Like, if somebody moved in this house, they were 6 feet tall, they'd have to redo the entire kitchen because they would get annoyed after a while.
Well, if they moved into the house, that means they bought it
True.
the way it was. So that's what they were reckoning. So that's something to consider. Don't feel bad about that.
I also did it at the shop at my job. They were like, "Oh, we need to modernize the tool benches and everything." Okay, I made it all my height. So it's like a hobbit's shop.
But if you're average height, then it's not a hobbit shop.
I just get excited when there's a toilet and my feet don't dangle. True. That's actually true. It depends on there are certain, like, okay, I'm calling out the Richard Riordan Library in downtown Los Angeles. Their bathroom was built for giants. I always feel so short when I go there. I'm like, who built this bathroom? Gosh, there's certain chairs because at my height there are certain chairs, but it's more like Vegas and certain places. You can tell when larger people build things.
Yeah, when I sit in chairs and my legs dangle, like I can only imagine when somebody like Miss 5'1", there is gonna feel
dangling the legs is actually quite bad for the knees. It will kill your knees eventually. That's a little ergonomic thing. You want your knees to bend at a 90-degree angle, and your floor and your feet to be on the floor. That's the best ergonomic position.
So to answer what Kilroy is saying, it's really great when I'm in Walmart, though. I can pull stuff off the topmost shelf so I have freakishly long arms. That's why I put the computer back so far. I love it when people ask me, like, "Hey, can you get this off the top shelf?" I'm like, "Yes, the one skill for my long arms." Finally, yes. But I totally know what you're saying. This lady made me feel so tall the other day. And like I turned around and looked at Isaiah. I'm like, "That's right. I'm tall." And he's like, "No, you're not." He's almost my height. I love that. I absolutely love that. Laugh out loud, true commander, but that is at least my pain issues, unfortunately. I have like chronic pain issues, and so I've learned to just you gotta laugh instead of cry all the time.
I have the worst knees imaginable, and they were going bad at least 10 years ago. So that's how I know.
I've developed an attitude though. My mom had breast cancer and she had a mastectomy and she made it. She lost all of her hair. This was a decade ago and she made it. But ever since then, if you get anything that's a cold and complain about it around her, she'll call you out. She'll be like, "Stop being a derogatory word." I had cancer. You're being a derogatory word. So I kind of look at it like that because I have been sick my whole life because of my lungs, and like it could always be worse,
True. You could have cancer.
Exactly. You know what though? I smoked for 20 something years, so I tried to give it to myself. So if I ever do get cancer, it'll be because I tried.
Like I can only blame myself.
No, you got to like. I grew up around like old school adults, and there's this a truism like you can only point the blame so far. Like I'm gonna literally die from something I ate, drank, or smoked, and I'm okay with that. I've accepted it. I've accepted it. Like I still cook with Crisco. I still I quit smoking cigarettes years ago. I
Good.
don't drink alcohol.
Probably good.
I used to drink moonshine. Like I would get like blackout. It just wasn't fun anymore. I was
You
a
mean
mess.
you would lose your sight for a while drinking it? Is that
I
what
would
blackout is?
blackout. I would forget what
Oh,
I was.
blackout.
I would wake up the next day. After a while, like I'll give you a perfect example. One night, I had Christmas Eve at my house. My entire family was over, and my sister, and this was like 12, 13 years ago. My sister and I, we got whiskey, like moonshine whiskey drunk. I woke up the next day and I called every single person in my family. I was like, "Hey, did I offend you last night?" I apologize. They're like, "No, you had a good time. You were great." I was like, "Cool." I didn't remember any of it. I remember.
I had a classmate who paid us all to watch a video of him drinking a bottle of White Lightning. And then the next day he wanted his money back, and everyone told him to go fuck off.
That you act like a so I quit drinking, and what really got me I went to a party. I was I was in my 30s. I went to a party, and this was a long time ago. I went to a party with my old high school friends, and I blacked out and made a complete ass out of my friends, and I made a complete ass out of myself, and everyone took pictures.
Oh no.
Oh, so it's oh whoops, I just jabbed my camera. I mean my microphone.
Fuck that microphone.
It shamed me enough to quit drinking. I've blacked out more times than I can count. The one reason I quit drinking. I'm man enough to say this is why, like, I had a Karen video and everyone was like, "Oh my god, you have a Karen video." I did the helicopter on a pool table, and there's a video out there of it. I have no shame. I quit drinking because of it. Because I embarrassed myself. But no, I quit drinking. I that was like a side of my personality I didn't like about myself. A good friend of mine though, I'll never forget, she pulled me to the side and was like, "Bro, we all have rock star moments. Don't be embarrassed." I didn't show my face for like 6 months after that. I was so embarrassed. Oh yeah. I'm surprised that table held me. I was rocking so much.
Oh.
Yeah. So but my problem is that I liked whiskey and whiskey did not like me. And drinking whiskey is different than drinking beer all the time. Like, because I used to drink beer, but beer just makes you gain a lot of weight and makes you hungry
Right.
and opinionated. Whiskey made me professor sewing. And I thought I could fight too. Whiskey gives you an illusion. And that's the thing. I was always a loving drunk, and I'm more angry sober than I when I was drinking.
You know, Thomas Paine said he did his best writing while he was drunk. So maybe there's something to that.
I don't harp on people for what they do. I just couldn't hang anymore. There's a recording of me out there blacked out, and I'm thinking I was a 60 Minutes interviewer, but really I was being an ass and yelling stupid questions. Been there, Kilroy. I've totally been there. Totally. My problem is, like, I have a really outgoing personality, and when I would get drunk, like, it was turned on. I did not like myself drunk. I did not. And then when my ex-wife and I were going through divorce court, I got court ordered to not smoke weed, and I discovered I really didn't even like drinking. I just like the combination of it. So I haven't had a sip, and this year will be 12 years I have not had a sip of alcohol.
Congratulations.
It
It's an accomplishment.
I usually hear that about
It really is.
tequila. Yeah. And that I got sick as a child. A friend of mine, we stole it's called Vaughn's here, but I guess everyone else has a Safeway. We stole a Safeway gold brand tequila. If anyone knows, it's bottom of the barrel. Back then it was like a $5 for a liter of tequila. It was like $5.
Plastic bottle.
Oh, it was gross, charcoal filtered. And me and my friend drank the entire bottle and blacked out. I was like 14.
Oh,
I haven't had tequila since.
good call.
I haven't had to. Wow. Yeah, I haven't had tequila. It taught me a lesson. There's this weird thing about alcohol that if you don't respect it, it will teach you a lesson.
Reminds me of Father Mulcahy with that dog. The dog that got drunk, and he gave the dog enough alcohol. The dog didn't want it anymore, and he said, if only every person was that smart. That's
true.
from MASH.
Oh, God.
For MASH, right? Yeah.
Do you know what's so funny, Phoenix? Sitting here talking about the story is making me physically ill. That's how much it traumatized me. But guess what? Sewing never drank again, ever again. Ooh. Yeah. It taught me a harsh lesson. And my dad was old school, so he made me like when I woke up the next day, he was like sawing outside my window. He made me help him. Like, it was gross. Man. Oh, I was hurting. I used to buy the plastic half gallons of vodka and drink the whole thing in one sitting.
Oh
yeah. Oh, I remember. Pop off.
I was just about to say pop off.
Yeah.
I'm a Grey Goose guy nowadays, but yeah.
Did Stoli ever put their stuff in a plastic bottle? I had a Stoli problem for a while, and Tito's too. I had a Tito's problem. Life lessons sometimes come at the bottom of a bottle. So true. So true. So true. I will never touch tequila. Even if I start drinking again, I will never touch tequila ever because it does not agree with me. Yeah, Kilroy, those half bottles. Hey, Liz, yay! You know what I used to drink, and I tried it as an adult, and it was nothing but a headache. Did anyone ever drink Boone's Farm liquor? Or it was just like cheap wine. Like, I was obsessed with Strawberry Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I loved that stuff as a kid, and it
Because it didn't taste like booze.
it made me feel like I was rich because I would drink a beer and then I'd be walking around a party with a bottle. It made me feel like I was so cool. I was just asking for a hangover the next day. Yeah, Boone's Farm was the shizer. I loved it as a kid. I drank it as an adult, and it just did nothing but give me a headache.
I used to throw these little house parties, and we call them Jaeger fests. And I would always, have a couple of the shtick was I would have a couple of big old handles of ice cold Jaeger, and you bring mixers and have different ways. And oh my god, just to this day, just thinking about the taste of Jaeger, just god.
Oh, totally. There was that reminds me of a jug of wine. Didn't have to worry about the headache. My parents used to drink the Carl Rossi or whatever, like way in the 80s. That was like my first time getting wasted, was sneaking some of their wine. That stuff was, you're right, was a headache waiting to happen. Smirnoff Ice, yuck. I remember that too. That reminds me of my first year of college. Malt liquor, also old. Cat Mars loved it also. Yo, oh, do you know? Does anyone remember Zimas?
Oh my god,
I have a
kind of
headache.
brought him back.
I have a headache just thinking about a Zima. Oh, I had some real hardcore, like old school 80s meathead friends, and just walking around my neighborhood, a car pulled up of my friends. They were on a football team, and I'll never forget. They were like, "Hey man, we got a bunch of booze, and someone got us these girly Zimas." Me and my friend were like, "We'll take those." I got so sick that night. I got so sick. We drank a 24 case of Zimas.
Oh my god.
We were already drinking beers. So to anyone who's pre-internet, back in the days, kids didn't have anything to do, so we drank a lot of booze and smoked a lot of pot. Oh yeah, Zima gives me a headache and weird memories.
Oh god, Manischewitz. Oh.
Okay, so my dad had a bottle of Manischewitz, and I learned really quick why it just sat there. Oh, I used to go through my dad's liquor cabinet, and I discovered, like, I drank a 40-year-old bottle of Scornsby whiskey, and I realized why whiskey doesn't go bad, because I realized why they call it spirits for a reason. Because if you drink enough, you're going to see some. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know, there's a meme of this woman like almost dry heaving, and it says, remembering that alcohol that almost killed you.
Oh my god.
And it's so true. It's so true. Oh, schnapps. Ew, that reminds me
buttershot schnapps.
Ugh. My pops was obsessed with cherry too. I don't like that stuff either.
Oh, man.
The peach was not horrible. I knew people that were hooked on peach schnapps, like absolutely hooked on that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're taking me back. Between Zimas and peach schnapps, you're describing the reason why I don't drink alcohol anymore. When I was 21 years old, I quit drinking because I was such a loady as a child. The peach was addictive. It was. I remember getting a tilted stomach ache off half a bottle of Ryan's. Oh, okay. So, Kilroy, you're totally reminding me. I had, because of the Big Lebowski, I was obsessed with White Russians.
They are delicious.
To the point where now just the smell of Kahlua makes me want to throw up.
Love me some Kahlua.
I was obsessed with White Russians. Like I had a White Russian problem in the 90s. And it was literally because of The Big Lebowski, because I watched it way too many times.
I was on an amaretto kick for a while. I was putting that shit in everything.
What's a Black Russian? I was like, for as much as I claim to have been around the world 5 times, I'm still extremely sheltered. There's a lot of stuff I did not participate in, and I'm not shy to add. Oh, no milk. Oh, wow. I was about to say the milk is one of the reasons that it kind of got weird after a while, because when when the White Russians start kicking in.
It is a lot of milk.
Has anyone ever had white ale or oat ale?
Oat ale?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
On some like total renaissance. I had a friend who made their own alcohol, and there was a contest to see how sick they could make me.
Nice.
Exactly. Milk and alcohol, not a good combination. And that's what started happening after the end. They were just gross. Okay.
And again, mudslides are pretty fun though.
There was a night in downtown Portland where a friend of mine took me drinking, and for some reason, all I could say was Irish car bomb. And he still makes fun of me to this very day because apparently I'd never had one, and I had a few and couldn't shut up.
Irish car bombs are the only way I can drink Guinness.
I can't drink thick beer either at all.
Yeah, no, tooth motor oil. Like
the thing I hated about White Russians is because of the milk, you couldn't keep pounding them. Exactly. After 5 of them, I felt like just finished a Chinese buffet. Exactly. That was my thing about, like, I loved them though. I loved them. Long Island iced teas remind me of Tijuana. When I was 16, a friend of mine was like, "Get in the car, kid. I'm about to change your life." And took me to Tijuana, and we would drink Long Islands all weekend long. I wonder, Alexa, what's the drinking age in Mexico?
According to Wikipedia, the minimum drinking age in Mexico is 18 years old.
Oh, they changed it. Alexa, what's the legal drinking age in Tijuana, Mexico?
From interviewarea.com, the legal drinking age in Tijuana is 18 years old, which makes a cross-border night out an attractive option for U.S. residents who may not drink legally in the States before the age of 21.
Oh my gosh. They
how they added that little bit.
They changed it. It used to be 16.
Oh, yeah.
Long Island tea got me to go home with my human. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Those things are dangerous. A trip to Tijuana will always change your life. I think that's weird that that they changed the drinking age. They probably got tired of American minors going over there and getting hurt. That reminds me of something I used to do that I called doping. It was basically where I'd take the highest strength red wine I could find and add 100 proof vodka. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's hardcore. Only half have smashed the like button. Oh, like a bad drink. Thank you, Phoenix. Thank you. You guys are making me miss my drinking days, but because of my perpetual sinuses and just my health in general, like
Not a good idea.
I can't do no. I wake up the next day and I feel like I'm dying. That's one of the reasons I quit drinking, and it wasn't just whiskey; it was even beer. After a while, I just I have all kinds of issues because of my lungs, and one leads to the other. But when I quit drinking, I would get perpetual migraines, and my migraines got turned down all of a sudden, and they slowly started fading away when I quit drinking alcohol.
Probably a good idea to not do things that cause you pain.
Yeah, exactly.
Good call. Good call.
when I see people smoking cigarettes, I'm like, I wish I had the body for that. But like, I still have dreams. I quit smoking 4 years ago, and I still have dreams that I'm smoking a cigarette. That's how hardcore nicotine. I saw this thing in Scientific America where they gave a brain scan to a fetus in the womb, and there's no difference between a baby that is being born on heroin and a baby that is being born on nicotine. Chemically speaking, it is that harmful.
No.
It's that addictive.
Exactly.
There was a bunch of appetite suppressants back in the early 2000s that were going to be this miracle, blah, 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 because they didn't make you suicidal, etc. Like a lot of the ones that block the ability for dopamine to do anything. And it turned out they just activated the same parts of your brain that nicotine did, and they got people addicted to it.
Interesting.
That is super interesting. Alcohol dries the body, not good for chronic. That's so true. And I agree with you, Kilroy. Same. My mental health got 100 times better after I quit. Turns out alcohol really is a depressant. That was my problem. There's I don't have the chops to show it, but there is a video that my dad took to shame me where he found me. I was drinking. My grandmother gave my dad a bottle of Crown Royal, and he's like, I don't drink this crap. I said, I'm depressed. I'll drink it. I drank the whole bottle. I grabbed my guitar, and I was singing so loud that my dad came over to tell me to shut up before the neighbors called the cops on me. But I was literally crying and singing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's bad. And he like every time I look at the video, I'm like, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And so yeah, when I quit drinking, all of a sudden a lot of that stuff went away. I agree with you, Kilroy. I agree with you 100%.
I never actually purposefully had any alcohol. Well, I did taste some alcohol during Purim, but I didn't swallow it.
Very, very. Who was that? Clinton? Or I didn't inhale.
How did
Oh, I actually didn't swallow it. My dad fell in love with Jack Daniels, and it did horrible things to him, so I never drank.
Ah,
how
gotcha.
did hold on. Phoenix got timed out of the chat. How did that happen?
That's
Oh.
weird.
Yeah. Oh, Liz. What happened, Liz? I think
Oh,
Liz might have hit the button. She might
must have been
have
an accident.
yeah. No, I do that all the time.
I'm not even a mod, so I can't even do it.
Oh. Oh, and ephedrine. It wasn't intentional.
She's like, oh shit.
Well, let me see if I can make you a no, on here it only. Here, let me make you a mod real quick. There you go, Skits.
Yay.
Okay, well, give it a second, Phoenix. I am so sorry.
Yeah, Liz is like, I'm so sorry.
I completely forgot. Seriously, if it wasn't so useful, I would literally be one of those people who lived out in the woods. Because I was a nomad all throughout my 20s, I don't know which is better. The hoarding lifestyle I have now, or like when I was in my 20s, I had this theory like I didn't have anything in my apartment that I couldn't fit in my car. I was a total minimalist. I know no one can picture me being a minimalist.
You know.
But I traveled around a lot, so totally like, I had that Gone in 60, um, I had that Gone in 60 seconds thing in my head. Like, you don't own anything else that you are not willing to walk away from in 60 seconds. I've too many Robert De Niro movies. I love Robert De Niro.
I learned, well, I started out with the machine shop in the garage and getting all the toys that I wanted because I was making all the money to do it. And then I had the house fire and I realized, yeah, I don't want to have that much shit anymore.
I was like half homeless, rebellious, traveling around hobo, and I had a 1983 VW Rabbit, and then I bought a Chevy Tahoe because I realized you can't be homeless and own a car that has canvas. you don't want to sleep in a car like because my VW Rabbit was a total California car. And then when I started heading east, like, no way. So I bought a Chevy Tahoe back when you could buy cars for $900. And this was like in the early 2000s. And it was like a dependable car. I drove that thing till the wheels fell off. The world was a different place 20 years ago. Kids, people weren't like, not everybody were liars. Someone saw how naive and dumb I was and sold me a car that saved my life in a lot of ways. Yeah, seriously. Furball, you're you're the professor of the chat. Especially like I was so happy that somebody else knew who Thermommier was. I'm a sewing enthusiast and a sewing like history enthusiast, and I was so stoked that you knew who Thermommier was. Because I try to talk about Thermommier and people are like, "What?" This is why.
What did he do?
He invented the first working sewing machines, and then all the tailors in the area came and burnt down his shop. Well, they smashed all his sewing machines because they thought that sewing machines were gonna replace tailors.
Oh, the Luddites came out.
And the funny thing is that it was a tool for tailors, and they didn't replace tailors until like 200 and 300 years later. So they were okay. They were okay,
My grandfather had a tailor shop when he came to America, and it turned into a factory, and he retired with $300,000 in 1976.
Oh, wow.
So he took a tailor business and made something of it. He sold stuff to Macy's and Gimbals and all that.
There's a couple, they've owned a dry cleaning place like literally within walking distance of my house longer than I've been alive. And it's really sad because they're the original owners, and the like when I go in there to get clean, the older guy isn't necessarily with it anymore. He's in his 90s, But it's just sad. But I'm thinking about offering them money for some of their machines because they have like you could do anything with their machines in there. Because they're real
dry cleaning and all that.
They're real life tailors, so they have sewing machines. They have a stage where like you can walk in and someone stands on it, and when you're my height, it's perfect. You could for tailoring, they have all kinds of cool stuff.
Do they have those tables where you can get like 4 inches thick of fabric and cut them all at once?
Yeah. And they like it's like going back in time when you walk in there in their shop. And I think they own that little corner because it's this little corner out in the middle of the back of a parking lot. And because of gentrification and everything's been replaced by major businesses, and they are still trucking. After all these years, they are still going. But it's just sad to
That is cool.
It's just they survived COVID and everything, but it's just sad, like because they're getting older, and they obviously have no one to replace they have no one to replace them. It's just sad. There's a donut shop by my house. The owner now, I remember her mom. And like whenever I walk in there, like it's like family. It's small town stuff, you know. So it's sad to see those people phased out because they get replaced by Starbucks. Tell me, Skits. I know where you live. If anything goes out of business, it gets replaced by a Starbucks, right?
Immediately.
It's the
Just
great.
like the Simpsons episode, right? The entire mall was a Starbucks at the end.
Exactly.
Oh, let me look. I'm a bad YouTuber.
By the
Let
way,
me look.
I'd like to say I really appreciate all the fact that Commander 401 has all these Futurama and The Simpsons references just ready to go.
I absolutely love it. You requested was not found on this server. What, Google? What are you smoking, computer? All right, let's click that again. What? All right. Apple, I was trying to avoid the latest Apple update, but they really censor a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing.
Windows updates usually fuck with the audio stuff that Dick has us use.
It's the
In
craziest.
fact,
Oh,
pedal
sorry.
board basically died because of Windows updates.
Pedal board.
So one thing I'll give about Western Pennsylvania, we tend to keep the local guys in business while the big guys go out of business. I would rather see that. Portland was like that when I lived there. They would not let big business in downtown, and I appreciated that. And if you were a big business, you had to incorporate yourself into the city. I miss small business, and I encourage, like, there's a I purposely go to like a local farm. I go to certain places because I want them to be around.
Absolutely. Yeah, I try my best, and especially like I love hitting up like farmers markets, and around here they got fruit and vegetable stands that are closer to grocery stores than they are little podunk stands. California,
Phoenix,
especially Northern California, is great for that.
sorry, Phoenix. I don't know why it's taking me so long. I just made you a moderator. Sorry, pot's legal here. I apologize. So now you can post links and stuff.
Now you can time out Liz.
No, because I was like, when you're a moderator, I was like, why isn't she a moderator? Because it's not that you don't get timed out; you have the power to time somebody else. Pittsburgh is kind of like Portland in that way. You can just pop a business down. You gotta work. See, I like that. I like that where they just won't let you. Oh,
Cool.
hey, sorry.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
There she is. Oh, is that it?
I'm supposed to be here. I think I'm here. What's going on?
You're here.
You're here.
We're just
You're
on
here.
delay. Okay. Let me.
There's always
that's-
technology
is that your
is funny.
corset?
Be online, so I didn't put my camera and all my fancy hoopla on. This might not work.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh no, it looks great. Hold on, let me make you big. Hold on.
I love the
Okay.
dance.
Yeah. Yay. Oh, that's perfect.
That's really cool.
Yeah, the Arania black corset patterns, I'm very pleased. And I'm so in love. I love wearing a corset. I think if we've got pain and hip issues, they should come back into fashion.
Do you get pains from them though after a while?
No, not yet. It depends on which one. No, that's a sign of a bad fitting corset if you get pains, honestly. Like,
Okay.
because there's the width you have to take into account or the length of where it sits. But yeah, this one I didn't have to do a lot of adjustments. Well, adjustments. No, you just have to be fiddly because the pieces have to go in the right order, in the right orientation. And the right material. Because I did these ones with this like green faux silk moire. What did I have issues with these ones? The bones popping out because I didn't do the seams nicely.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking.
I had some issues, but they're so pretty. But they've got issues, and I forgot to hack the bones out of this one, so I cut out of my 130 meters of new German plastic boning, and I was like, oh, I just sat last night and cut new boning when I didn't need to.
Awesome.
Yeah, when you got shit to waste, sometimes you do funny things. Thank you so much, Alibaba. No puckering on the fashion fabric. Yeah, this is silk that was from my auntie's mother. I have so much, I kind of feel like rich in silk because I've got so much yardage of it. It's kind of a shame. But yeah, you said Ellie, but Shannon is your friend. She's the one who inspired me to do my corset hoodie, and I think she must probably know my friend Ty, who's also a sear wheel artist, because there's not many of them who trained at the circus school in Montreal.
Is it called boning because it used to be actually made of bone, or is that just
Yes, it used to be whalebone or goose feather pieces. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I can see how whalebone can be widely used though, because if anyone's ever seen a beached whale, they're huge. They're like huge.
Has anybody seen the horrible video of the beached whale who got exploded in Oregon in the 70s?
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, it was.
There was just whale bits all over the place for hundreds of yards.
Yep.
Somebody thought that was a good idea.
They did. When I moved to Oregon, my friend was like, you're not a real Oregonian until you've seen this video. So I was like, okay, please indoctrinate me into the state of Oregon.
A friend of mine yesterday sent a picture of a beached whale at Cannon Beach.
Oh, yeah, there's been out like 3.
Oh, that's so weird. Is that like I know people that think it's an omen. Is that's something that happens all the time, isn't it?
I think so. Like, there's always beach whales on the coast, thank you, Liz. But I don't know. I've not lived on the bestest coast most of my life. Like, am I 50-50 now? Maybe now.
That was an awesome thing though when they blew that thing up, and whaling used to be a huge industry because of all the oil from the fat. Yes. I asked the first thing I asked my friend yesterday. I asked her, I was like, "How does the whale smell?" And she's like, "Awful," because she was right up on it.
Funny thing is that the refractive index of sperm whale oil and beryl are exactly the same. Unlike there's a small difference between linseed oil and beryl, and they used to, if you soak your emeralds or your aquamarines in either linseed oil or sperm whale oil, it will make the fractures disappear, but the sperm whale oil, it will be impossible for anyone to tell without doing any spectral analysis.
Interesting.
crazy.
Gotta love music.
You're getting orders already. Look at that. They recently the Los Angeles bomb squad did one of the biggest bonehead moves in world history. They found a literal truckload of illegal fireworks, and then they tried to set them off in a neighborhood. And it's a viral video of a couple years ago. They literally exploded windows for half a mile. And they set all the trees on fire, and it's on film, and the cops are like, oh, they just look like idiots. They're like, what did we just do? I hope everyone got fired.
Yeah, I mean, when you live in a place where fire's a season, that is just terrifying.
Absolutely. Oh, and especially like at my job, it's on the outskirts of town. It's had a fire rip through it before. It's unreal. Scorched earth is real. It's unreal when fire comes through.
California knows us some fires.
Same
And
does
dump
Southern
trucks.
Oregon and Northern California.
Oh yeah, there's fires in Southern Oregon as
Yeah,
well.
Yeah, Northern California.
Find
And
'em
dumb
McDowell.
fucks blame space lasers.
Well, to be fair, Marjorie Green Taylor, sometimes I think she's satire. I think she sits down and writes this down. I really
He's just playing a bit.
I'm hoping, because there's no hope for the future then for someone like a bunch of zero watt bulbs on that bomb group. It was the strangest thing. Like, they would never do it in my town. You would never get people doing that in my town. Do you look up a lot of free patterns, Phoenix?
I do, because I usually have to do so much pattern alteration, and I'm cheap. Oh no, her website is closed. What just happened?
When okay, so last week when I bought fabric, I went to the counter, and the fabric, I knew how much it was. And then the lady told me, she's like, the price is $71. And then I paid for it, but I was like, what's so expensive? My pattern costs like $20. I was shocked on how expensive it was.
Are there like...
Yeah, I usually use the mood fit patterns, but their lengths are made for giants and not tiny humans. I'm sorry, I wonder if she switched all her stuff to her Ko-fi account or something, but it's sorry, I'm talking out loud while I'm trying to spell. Black is the person, but they're based on vintage corsets.
That's awesome.
I wonder if those affect your blood pressure long term.
I have lung issues. I can't have anything crushing me like that. Like
it holds my hips in and helps my pain. Oh, that's so sad that she's closed her site and her stuff. I hope she's okay, because she is an amazing dual lacing in the back. No, it's just one lacing that I tried at the waistline.
Oh, I'll make you big again.
Thin.
Because I have such hardcore lung issues, like I can't have anything like grabbing my body. That's why I wear loose clothing to begin with. But it's more of a psychosomatic thing, I think, after a while. Is it me? Okay, no, it's not me. But I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's see if you can see. Hold on, me. It's been a while since I've had a few people in here. There we go.
I can pop out if there's too many.
No. I
don't know if Hans is going to show up again.
I wanted to show. This came with the 1960s pattern as well, and I'm gonna make that leisure suit.
You need some old-fashioned print polyester. Oh, hold on. If you can find this fabric, you need it.
I have in the closet. I found this weird leisure suit. But I went to this one Goodwill and it was all damaged clothes and there was a hole in the back and I was like, oh, I can fix that. But it's so tight it sends off the wrong message. Here, I'll make you big again. There we go. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think my grandma started like a jumper and a jacket and I need to finish it, but I'm like missing pieces. And you can't find that fabric anymore. It's like this. It's soft and like velvet. Oh, hey, voice. Velvety feeling, but it's not. It's probably some polyester something.
I'm the same way, Kilroy. It depends on what I'm wearing. I wear a lot of undershirts, so I have hardcore issues when it comes to undershirts in general. Oh, wow. $18.79. You know what? I wonder if my 1906 sewing machine is probably specialized for that.
My white loves it. I just drive it slowly and she takes anything. But I think that's why I like my electric machines. I try to sew faster than I can drive safely. So having to like manually crank it makes me slow down.
That is one thing about sewing. Some of my biggest mistakes is when I feel I'm in a groove and I just let it fly, and then all of a sudden one little thing goes left or right, and you got to completely redo it.
Yep.
White SMC has a very good motor for code. You know what? I have a few old white motors, but I'm scared to hook them up because when I plugged that white in, it literally shut down half my house. I learned a lesson that day. I learned a hardcore lesson that day. Stop plugging in 100-something-year-old sewing machines.
You're right. They need their own breaker.
Yeah. That was back before plugs were standardized as polar. So if you flip it the wrong way, they blow.
Exactly. I didn't know this. And the funny thing is now, in this room, I have a cord that runs from where my washer and dryer is. So I can plug it in there and it doesn't even make a difference, because those are rated for higher, The one thing that a lot of people don't talk about, European sewing machines use twice the power that American sewing machines do. And it has more to do with the amount because of the electricity. It's more of an electricity exchange rate, but even a cheap European sewing machine is more powerful than something you'd buy in America just because of the wattage. I have a Shark Euro Pro. Yeah, it has to do with the math that I know nothing about.
Ohm's law and all that jazz, yeah.
But I have
a adapter.
I did. I have a European sewing machine that I got an adapter for, and that thing, it still runs super fast. It's a beast. I have actually a couple European sewing machines. I got, because I'm the kind of guy, like, I get so excited when I see a sewing machine at the thrift store. I'm like, I'll figure all the details out later. And I took one home one time, and I'm like, oh, crud, this has European plugs on it. And so I had to learn that. But because of, what's it called? Amazon, it was those plugs were at the house within 3 days.
Yeah, maybe you should do a leisure suit out of that fun poppy fabric with like the Closet Historian's vest hoodie thing. That is a cute pattern. I need one.
I know. I'm gonna go grab my leisure suit because my FOF. See, I want a FOF so bad, but they really do not sell them on the West Coast. Not like, well, when I say I could buy a FOF, like, on Amazon or something, but I just don't see them in the stores. Like, if I lived in Minnesota in Nancy Zeman area, I bet you I could find a foth in 10 seconds. I love bell bottoms. I love my Jenkos. I keep on forgetting I made 2 pairs of bell bottoms.
The Jinko episode was the one I showed my friend today.
I have fun making those. That if you guys go back to my bell bottom episode, that was like the first time I ever had fun making a video. I went off in that video. That's back when I was all naive YouTuber before I knew the horrors of YouTube.
I think I'm gonna make a similar, like, old that style / Victorian Edwardian riding, cycling horseback trousers out of this blue denim shenanigans.
That looks good. That's an awesome material, though.
Yeah, thrift store. Let's see here. I don't even know how many yards it is, but it was only less than $6 for enough for a short human like me.
I love that. That's where I like. I always consider it a score when I find material at a thrift store. I always consider that a score. That's where most of the stuff that I made this week came from. Like my poly. I don't know what this is. I keep on calling it polyester. I'm gonna grab that. I have no idea what material this is. Let's get the professionals.
I can only imagine it's like an issue. Like if you get material from like a thrift store, like if you're midway through a project and you find out you don't have enough fabric, you're never gonna find that fabric again, right?
Man, measure twice and cut once is real.
And piecing is period.
I have no idea but it's this swishy kind of like bright material. Is this polyester or what would it reminds me of those old school windbreaker trucker jacket style, you know? I have no idea what this material is. I just call it polyester.
Well, you can do a burn test. Does it stink or not? What does it smell like?
Sets
let
his
me
house
get
on
a
fire.
strap.
Oh God!
You got a fire
you know I'm down for crazy ideas.
Just cut a little snip and oh, it's already made. I mean, like not on the finished garment. On the if you've got a scrap left, burn it because it'll either melt if it's synthetic and smell funny, or it'll burn like hair and have that hair smell.
That hair smell.
Oh, we are so doing this for science.
Science.
If I burn my house down, avenge me.
Avenge me.
It's not my fault.
I was just saying, so we go after Phoenix.
Oh, it's more coming in on itself, like plastic almost. All right, let's see the smell. It's got a plastic smell to it.
So it's probably nylon.
Nylon, yeah. Nylon jacket. Makes sense, like a windbreaker kind of thing.
Okay, that's cool. Wow, for science on the Godless Sewing Channel.
And now you have cancer.
Oh, Skits, I've worked around asbestos. I've worked around all kinds of stuff. So if I have cancer, I tried really hard. Oh, that's funny. I found like yards and yards of this at a thrift store. And last week when we were talking, it inspired me because I do have a ton of stuff I don't use. And like I made overalls. I completely lined my cape and I made a coat just from stuff that was in my stash. And yes, Skits, I said stash. I know that made you laugh. Like I'm hiding it, like it's buried in the backyard, and I like go look at my fabric, make sure no one's looking. No, I've been watching certain YouTube channels, and there's these guys, which I'm not dogging it because eventually I'm hoping to be like them. They sell fabric online. They sell it for $15, $16 a yard. Where I consider paying more than $6 a ripoff.
Wow.
Somebody's advertising on my Instagram feed wholesale, but minimum order is 500 euros. I'm like, I want all this beautiful silk brocade, but spending $750 plus shipping.
Yep.
It makes me nauseous.
There's a patch guy in England. Every Slayer patch in here came from England. And then when they really started doing all that stuff with Brexit, the price quadrupled. And I can't pay $60 for a $15 patch. It's just against my principle.
Yeah.
Like when I know I can get the same thing from a guy in Texas somewhere, and it'll come a lot faster. It's sad though, because I felt like this guy was hardcore metal. He'd been making patches for a long time, and I'm like, heck yeah. When I got a Motorhead patch, I'm like, this is an authentic patch from the UK, but I can't pay their fees anymore.
The shipping.
Brexit sucks.
It killed and I guarantee you, because I'm still friends with him on Facebook and Twitter, and it's killing his business.
Oh, I bet.
It's just absolutely destroyed his business, because most of it, like nostalgia sells, and he was selling to Americans. And he'll make you any kind of patch that you could, like any band. He'll make you a Tupac patch. He'll make you anything, That guy uses German embroidery thread, I bet, and in Germany too. Yeah, that's another thing. I used to use a lot of Gunderman thread. Man, I can't afford the Gunderman price anymore, because I would get it straight from the source, and now I get it third party.
Mystical cave.
I got, it's weird though, because I look at things as a challenge. So like there's certain material. I guarantee you that was probably like for a tent or something, but I made a jacket out of it. But it was just
you're right.
What's that, Commander?
Oh, I was responding to Kilroy. Yeah, they said Brexit was going to make everything better and more free. All the UK had to do was surrender its right to vote on any EU regulation by exiting. And then in order to have any chance in hell of keeping their businesses afloat, copy and paste all the EU regulations into British law. So they don't have any right to vote on it anymore, but they have to copy and paste it anyway.
The whole thing has destroyed. And you know what the funny thing is? We have weird trade agreements now, and it still drive the price up because Americans are capitalists. So if you deal with us, we're going to tax you, and vice versa. It's so sad what's happening in the UK. We're going to just like when they made a trade deal with us. I don't think they realized that Americans are going to gut the National Health Service because we're capitalists.
Well, that was one of the things that the Tories were hoping that Trump would win, because then Trump was going to actually make that part and parcel of any deal. Biden's not going to say, you got the NHS right now because we think it's communism. James Bond had it too good being able to see a doctor. Right? Because James Bond, the NHS was there throughout the Cold War.
Yeah. The NHS was created after World War II because, no one had health insurance. So they were like, you know what? We're going to give everyone health insurance. It's sad. Yeah. It's just sad to see. And because of stinky Twitter, I watched a video last night of an American tourist getting beat up in London. And I was like, oh, I'll never go there again. But LA is just as bad. Like, I don't know why I'm being such a baby. LA is just as bad, and I don't go down there. And I live 35 miles from it. Like, I can walk there. It's so close,
Just don't jaywalk.
Yeah.
They do not play in LA when you. Oh, that's right. It's legal to jaywalk now in LA County.
Right, and now they've had more homeless people hit by cars because the law was racist, and now they've got bigger problems.
I don't know how they can call it racist. Like, we have such problems here in LA. It's not even funny. If you ever want to see what Tent City looks like, I could take you guys on a tour.
Oh, I used to live in South Florida, and by the time I left South Florida, there were 2 apartments for rent that you could get for an income of less than $60,000 a year
God.
in the entire county.
Do you know rent in LA County right now? People are paying $3,500 a month to live in apartments. To people across the country, I know that's unheard of, but like our rent up until a couple years ago was $1,500 on average out here, and
Oh,
it's jumped in LA. It's jumped.
it's not, it doesn't seem far-fetched to me. I grew up in South Florida. It was affordable. And then they decided, Jesus said, to lend to those who ask without expecting anything in return. And they thought that extended to federally insured money. So within a year, housing prices doubled. And then they doubled again. And then, well, you all know the history. So by the time I left, you needed to be a doctor or a lawyer to ever have any chance of owning a home in Broward County unless you inherited it. Or win the
Gilroy-
fucking lottery or be a drug dealer.
Sorry, it's the same here. The drug dealers and the lawyers are the only ones who can afford to buy houses around here. Gilroy, where I live, the cops are constantly looking for infractions. So if you jaywalk, it used to be if you jaywalk, it was just a good excuse for the cops to harass you.
Oh yeah. Like
But it's different everywhere else.
Yeah, like
Sorry.
90% of traffic stops are just to see if they can find a felony to, arrest you for. Or, it's like, oh, we don't really care that your license plate is obstructed. We just want to stop you to see if we can find a bigger crime.
They used to have stop and frisk in New York City, and most of the people stopped and frisked were hot women and minorities, and most of the contraband was taken off rich white men.
I worked at a
Yeah.
club, and I was the doorman because I was the short mouthy one, and I was always surprised on who had the drugs. It was never the person you thought it was, or at least trying to sneak it into a club. I don't miss those days. I do not. I am not that cool anymore. Oh, we have an echo from someone.
Is it coming from me?
I don't know. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, it's gone now.
PA cops too are too busy investigating drug dealers to look for tiny things to ticket you for. I've got 55 and a 35 right in front of a cop. Man, around here they will pull you over so fast. That's the main thing. They can only bust you for traffic infractions. So they're the laws are different in California. They're pro people. And so they can really only get you for traffic infractions. So when they do, they're Inspector Gadget.
But then that's illegal Fourth Amendment search and seizure.
I agree. Do you know, when I was young, I was so dumb. There was this one cop who was like, stick your tongue out. I didn't know my rights because when you smoke a ton of pot, the back of your tongue turns green. And I didn't know that until the cop told me. And I thought it was an old fairy tale, but it's true. And I'll never forget, my mom was like, learn your rights, dummy. They don't have the right to tell you to do any of that unless they detain you.
Right. Where's my warrant and where's my lawyer? Or it's FTFU, No, STFU. Where's my lawyer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like that now though, but I know my rights. There's a difference. Like, there's a big difference.
When I worked for the sheriff's department, we had a saying for our town was, come on vacation, leave on probation.
Ooh.
That's Vegas. That is Vegas. Like, Vegas is very famous for people showing up on Friday and they don't leave till the next Wednesday because they've been in the in the drunk tank for 2 days. Vegas has changed though because it was way loose. It was like loose, but now people walk around the streets smoking weed. Like, it's because I'm old school. It's weird to see a place like Nevada legalize pot because they were so anti-marijuana.
You know who opened the door for that? I'm going to blame Pat Robertson. Because when Bob McDonald wanted to legalize the Mary Jane, not legalize, but decriminalize it in Virginia, Creed Deeds pretended to be the asshole culture warrior, and the Republicans were talking about having the munchies. And Pat Robertson said it was perfectly fine with him if they legalized marijuana, but only if a Republican did it.
That's so brainwashy and weird. Pat Robinson has always bothered me. Like, I don't know how people follow these prosperity gospel preachers. Like, I couldn't just like Cleflo Dollar. Okay, I couldn't go to
Perfect
a
name.
I couldn't go to a church where I know I'm making a man a millionaire. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go somewhere and be like, knowingly, I'm gonna make this man way more rich than I am.
Like the preacher like must be in the middle of the live stream sermon at gunpoint.
You cut up in half. You roboted in half.
There was a couple of months ago that preacher in New York, New Jersey who staged his own robbery at gunpoint during a live stream sermon on a Sunday.
That man bothers me so much. What is his name? I am really in like hardcore into Black Twitter, and I forgot his name. He because people were like, no, dude. Even if it was real, he's in one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in New York, wearing $500,000 worth of jewelry. You're gonna get robbed, bro.
Yeah,
Like you do that here, you're gonna get robbed.
It's so weird. I agree, Liz. Most cops do have too much power.
I forgot his name. It was like a big deal. He went viral because he's very like he would get in interviews with people, and then he'd be like he would say the most extremely rude thing to women, or he would call everybody a homosexual. Like, he's a total angry, like, you just can't feel sorry for people like that. Like, he kind of where I'm from, it doesn't pay to be flashy. Let's just put it that way. Like, it does not pay to be flashy. If I had all his money, I would like be out in the middle of nowhere with giant solar panels in a big farm.
Lots of sewing machines.
Yeah,
But you personally wouldn't BS people with religion to take Granny's rent money just so that you could have nice things.
No, I think that's one of the most despicable things that you can do. Like Cleflo Dollar. People talk about marginalized communities. How many millions has he extorted from the Black community in just in Georgia? How many millions has he extorted? You know, I think he should be in prison personally.
Well, you know what he said was like, he said that God gave birth to humans and dogs give birth to dogs. So if God created humans and humans are gods, and then he wants money. I remember there's this one clip where he's talking about all his jets.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was muted. He recently went viral for basically apologizing for taking all the money and all this stuff and saying that tithing isn't necessarily a part of the prosperity gospel. I think the IRS is coming after him.
Oh, it should.
And I think they should go after all of them. Like, this guy is, he has more money than Tiger Woods, and Tiger Woods, besides Oprah, was the first sports billionaire. And Creflo Dollar. And I know too much about this, but because religion is huge in the South, and especially in Georgia, and these prosperity gospel people, they move their churches down there because they know they're going to make millions. Just in Georgia alone, I think it's like $3 million every Sunday from all the churches that they make. Just like little no-name churches, just in that one area,
One
I think
thing
that
I
money could be
always thought.
allocated. Oh, go ahead.
Finish what you were going to say. I didn't mean to run over you.
I just think that money could be allocated somewhere else. Like, if that much money is being passed around, like, I've been to Georgia, like, fix your roads, bro. Fix your, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do if you're gonna, if that much money is flowing through your area. I hate to say it. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry to run over you. One of the things I thought of doing is doing an experiment, creating a Bible channel, and then actually not being a shyster and see how slow it grows compared to the BS artists.
It's all about, well, I don't know if you'd make any, you probably wouldn't make any money, and I'll tell you why. TBN, okay, and I'm not telling any secrets. Their head office is in North Hollywood, California, in a giant studio. It's not even a church. It's just a studio that's a city block. It's like you can't just go into their church. You have to you have to be part of the studio. And that entire channel is a ruse. And how many millions of dollars do they extort from people? So you kind of have to lie.
Well, that entire thing too, they basically built TBN and CBN as more or less a combination grift / political manipulation, because before Pat Robertson got out onto the stage in 1976 and said political activism is a work of the gospel and the gospel is a plan to save our nation. Since when did Jesus say, and thou shalt go forth and run for office? And anyone who doesn't vote for you is the godless heathen.
We have distorted.
Churches got tax breaks.
Exactly. Do you think churches would disappear if we started taxing them?
Probably not, but certainly a lot of the grifters would, they'd throw a shit fit.
Because I know people that, like, I consider shysters, and they started a church and made tons of money. You're muted, Skits.
I said, yeah, they'll still exist. They'll be taxed. They'll make less money, but they'll still make a shit ton of money. And now if they're taxed, they'll have just blatant, Johnson Amendment violations and
Exactly.
Oh, and that whole political church thing is fun. Here's how that actually kills the influence of the church in politics over time. Say I'm a Democrat, right? And if I pay some lip service to evangelicals, I can win an election. Now what happens if I can pay all the lip service I want and be called a communist for doing the things that Jesus told me to do? Am I going to listen to the evangelicals? Or am I just going to say, does the LGBTQ community want to call me a godless Marxist for wanting to feed poor people. Because if I'm going to get constant crap from you, why should I listen to you when the LGBTQ community will be supportive of me using the government to do things Jesus commanded? And by the way, I'm a Jew and not a Christian, but here's the thing. And I think that's the reason why it moved so far so fast after 2010, because Ken Millman came out of the closet. The Republicans trashed the Democrats. They made it abundant in 2011. They threw Bob Casey out of the Value Voters Summit, a man who spoke there for more than a decade. And they said, Bob, you're a Nazi, you're a communist, you're a socialist, you're a Marxist. Be gone. It didn't matter that Bob was pro-life and anti-gay. They just threw him out and said, Bob, you're gone. So that said to the entire Democratic Party and any young people observing, you know what? Most of the values you're taught in church or in a synagogue are spit to the Republicans. And you can try to give them those two things, but guess what? They're going to bite your head off anyway. So go fuck them. I'm sorry if I said anything wrong, but that's the calculations the politicians made. I can listen to you till I'm blue in the face and do what you want, and you're going to stab me in the back. Well, the LGBTQ community has nothing against feeding poor people. That's what the politicians did.
I had to run.
I explained how the whole culture warrior thing blew up in their face.
Skits, you're muted.
Yeah. Having a sandwich.
I'm addicted to croissants. I'm weird. I'm addicted to French food. I don't know what it is, but I'm on this weird like health kick because of my health. So everything I eat is like weirdly organic or like, sugar free, or I have to really start taking care of myself for real. And so, but like, let's be real. I don't eat that much fast food. I grow a lot of my food, so I'm already pretty like super West Coast with it, I'm not necessarily grocery store dependent like most people. And like I said, I shop at local farms, so most of the food I eat is like grown on the soil where I'm from.
Nice.
There's miracle noodles. They have virtually no calories and they are very filling. They can help you lose a lot of weight.
Oh, the shiitake ones, those.
What Gilroy, what you were saying about starting your own church, I've thought about that quite a few times. Quite a few times. You guys just have screwed the pooch. Absolutely. Yes, Liz, I'm addicted to croissant. Liz, no, I'm allergic to a lot of things. So there's a lot of things I can't eat too. And my eyes don't like when I eat something I'm allergic to, my eyes start swelling, and they've really been swelling lately. So the older I get, I can't BS it anymore. I can't eat cheap chocolate. I'm allergic to cheap chocolate. I'm allergic to certain fabric softener. It's all because our world is chemically driven, and my body's like, nope. Nope.
Oh, and one good weight loss food is the taco salad at Wendy's. You can have 2 of those in one day and get only about 1,200 calories and live on about 1,200 calories. And that's how I've lost a lot of weight.
Gilroy, I've been making. I'm on this weird cornbread and cake thing where I rotate them. It's you know what I consider as long as I'm not adding butter, I'll live a little bit longer, or margarine. But I'm on this weird thing where like I'll eat a fresh thing of cornbread. As long as I don't eat it with margarine, I'll live a little bit longer. I'm trying to cut the Crisco and the hoagies out of my diet. I have I have literally become that guy I used to talk about. I used to work at a sandwich shop, actually in this town, and there was an older gentleman who would come in every time his wife would get her hair done. And when I say older gentleman, he would come in a three-piece suit with a hat. He's from a generation where people used to get dressed, you know? And he'd walk in and he would look around like it's a drug deal and he'd be like, I want a pastrami sandwich with everything on it. And then he'd sit there and he would eat it, drink a soda, go in the bathroom, brush his teeth, and then go pick up his wife from her hair appointment or whatever. But I have officially become that guy.
That is fantastic.
So I have
Ruben.
Isaiah's way healthier than I am, so like I just have to follow his example. What's Magic Spoon?
It's a high protein, gluten free, soy free of everything, high protein cereal that tastes like little kid cereals. Captain Crunch. What's all the other flavors? Cinnamon Toast Crunch, like all the things that you liked as a little kid,
Oh yeah.
but healthier.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is bad for your health. I was obsessed. And Captain Crunch too. That stuff is bad for your health. Gilroy, I'm the same. Isaiah hid the Crisco. I cornered him. I said, "Where's the Crisco, man?" He's like, "I'm not telling you." He probably threw it away. We had trash day. It's probably not even in this house. It's probably at the dump by now.
He's just looking out for your well-being.
He is. He tells his mom all the time that she needs to quit smoking, and she shames her. And he's like, "Dad quit smoking 4 years ago," because we have a weird competition still. So he shames her all the time.
Nice.
Oh, that sounds so good. See, I can't eat like that anymore. I wish I could.
I don't. The diabetes runs too strong in my family. I'm like trying to not be a McMuffin.
Same. See, and that's another thing. Like, I have a million examples of why I should take care of myself because of my family and their health. And so it's something I have to do. Man, the years you take off at the end are. I used to say that when I smoked cigarettes. But see, here's the thing. Like, I'm in my 40s and I can already feel the effects of like emphysema, of like taxing my lungs for 20 something years. I can already feel the effects of it. And I try to spread the word. Because I'm telling you, like, I miss smoking cigarettes. I miss it. But it's the ritual of it. Like, I roll joints and I think it's really the ritual of like sitting down with a cup of coffee, smoking, you know, pretending I'm Cary Grant for 20 minutes.
And that was the best book
When
by what's his face? I'm gonna forget. Coffee and Cigarettes was that was a movie from James Jarvis. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I'll just step out because I'm being
No,
cow.
no, it's okay. I recently bought Coffee and Cigarettes on VHS because I'd never seen it before, and I watched it
VHS.
I watched it for the first time like a week or two ago because I'd never seen it before.
When you were saying it was a ritual, were you saying like it was just having something in your mouth, or the actions or behaviors
All of the
in
above.
addition to the chemical?
Yes, all the above because I have an oral fixation. Like even right now, I'm sitting here and I'm stroking my chin beard. Like I'm just one of
Got a
those.
beard somewhere else.
Right versus
Well, goatee.
Your neck beard.
And
Neckbeard
I
is. Sorry, go ahead.
thank you for having me. I probably should get going because I got to get at least 8 hours sleep before I head out to work tomorrow.
Understandable.
Everyone have a great night and pleasant dreams.
You
It was
too,
great
Commander.
talking to you.
Bye.
Great talking to you, Commander.
Oh wow.
I am
it's
pulling
kinda
to
late.
Elvis. I am pulling to Elvis tonight. So, fun fact, Elvis was obsessed with gospel music, okay? So when in the old cocaine Vegas Elvis days, he would do his show. He would do like 2 or 3 hours of his show. Every night, Elvis would go in the back room with all his people and they would sing gospel music till 5 or 6 in the morning. But they were all doing lines of cocaine the entire time. I watched this crazy documentary and I was like, I weirdly respect Elvis for this. Like, I weirdly respect him for this. And he took care of all of his friends that traveled to Vegas. Like, he bought them all houses and stuff. Elvis, like, weird. And I think one of the reasons is because he mainly was surrounded by black people. And I'm like, Elvis took care of his people. He brought all the people from where he was from. That answers a question.
We have a moment of silence for Lisa Marie.
Oh my gosh. Did you see what she looked like though in the last interview?
Yeah, I heard that she got back on the opiates and lost like 50 pounds in the past 2 months. So she was like, had it in for herself, I think.
Wow.
I knew someone who at 40 years old she started doing major drugs and was dead by 45. Like, so the opiates will put you down if you Lisa Marie she's only 13 years older than she was not. I consider her young. You know,
1960 was only 20 years ago.
yeah, like I consider her young. I don't know. What is the average age of people nowadays? Like, how old do people live to nowadays? Because it was 80, but I don't think it's that high anymore. Alexa, what's the average life expectancy in the United States of America?
The average life expectancy in the United States was about 78.8 years in 2015. Life expectancy for males was 76.3 years, and for females, life expectancy was 81.2 years.
Oof.
Hey,
Oof.
fingers!
Women live
Harsh.
longer. That's crazy. So the average so women live to be 81 and men die at 76. I'll take it.
Sounds about right.
I'll totally take it. My pops died 2 days after his 80th birthday. And my grandmother passed away 2 months before her 100th birthday.
Wow.
And in her family, she was the first. She had 12 sisters and one brother, and she was the first woman in her family to not live to be over 100. So when I was younger, I had my Aunt Teresa lived to be 109 years old.
Jesus.
And towards the end of her life, she looked like Mother Teresa because she was so old. She wrapped her hair and like she'd wear these long dresses. Oh man, she was one of my favorites, but she was a kisser, so we'd literally have to line up, and she'd give that like stereotypical old aunt kiss. Oh yeah, these kids nowadays have no idea. It was sad about Lisa Marie, Liz. I was super sad. I agree with you. I agree with you about genetics.
Definitely important in that one.
I don't know though. Do you know? I don't know. There's weird statistics. Like if you grow up in a house of smokers, you're more likely to smoke. Do you think that's real?
Oh yeah.
Because I had one parent who was a smoker and one who was like anti-smoke, and I ended up smoking for 20 something years.
Yeah, when they make it so regular in their life, and especially if they have no urge to quit whatsoever, they're like, this seems right.
I've watched people die of emphysema, and I've also watched more than one person pass away from cirrhosis of the liver, and that like got me to quit drinking.
I remember when we were having a safety briefing one time, and our first sergeant was talking about smoking cigarettes, and he's like, "All right, every single one of you that smokes cigarettes, put your hand in the air." Like 90% of us put our hands up. And he says, all right, of those people with your hands up, keep your hands up if you've had a friend or family member die from cigarettes in your past. And most of us kept our hands up. I'm here to tell you, you guys are fucking stupid. And it's like, dude, you see this firsthand and you're still doing this shit. And it's like, you're right.
And I'm muted.
And you're muted.
I'm the same as Kelly. I grew up around people that smoked, and like when I was a kid, every Sunday we would go, my entire family would go to a restaurant after church. I mean, like 19, 20 people. And my entire family, even the little kids, we'd all sit in the smoking section because most of the adults smoked cigarettes. So we'd be eating our food and people would just be chiefing in the back, I thought it was weird that people's parents didn't smoke. I'm from that era. If you don't mind me asking, did you guys come from, did your predecessors smoke?
Nope.
Not cigarettes, no.
My mom was super anti-smoking and my dad smoked like a chimney. I don't know how they got along. They really liked each other. So I had that conflict. But the one thing I respect about my dad is that he smoked either outside or in the garage, and I've returned that favor. It's different now, though. Like, it's in where I live, it's illegal to smoke in the like, you can't smoke in the house with a minor. It's flat out illegal. And you can't smoke in a car with a minor either.
Good.
Which I can't believe it took them, like, that law didn't go into effect until like 2020 something.
Right? Man.
But it's the thing, like, with legalized pot, did you know, Skits, that in the state of California, it was not illegal to smoke a joint in your car?
Until when?
It was illegal. It was illegal to be high. It was illegal to have marijuana, but it was not illegal to smoke in your car because there was no law against it.
I gotcha.
Not one law. There was not one law that said you could not legally smoke in your car. It was just never addressed. And when pot became legal in California, the cops announced, oh, it's now illegal to smoke in your car. And everybody else was like, wait a minute. It was legal before?
You mean...
And the cops told the truth. They were like, there was no law. But now that you can legally do it, you can't smoke in your car anymore.
Yeah.
They, compromise. Can you smoke in your car, Phoenix, in Oregon?
I think so, but I think you have to be careful during fire season so that you can't throw your butts out the window.
It's like that here too. I was at a Martin Luther King Day parade in Medford, I believe it was, years ago, and I witnessed a man, and this was before pot was legal in Oregon, like right before, but he was smoking a joint and talking to a cop. Oregon is a different universe. Like, people don't, they have no, like, Oregon's a different universe.
Yeah, I concur. And it's great.
It's one of the things I miss about living out there is that it's just the one thing I loved is that I came from LA to Oregon. Excuse me, and I loved how it was not pretentious. Like in LA, there are certain places, like if you have a backpack, they won't let you walk in certain buildings, and it has nothing to do with safety. It's just because you look homeless. When I would go to fancy restaurants in Portland wearing a flannel shirt, and they're like, "Oh, you're dressed up coming in here, huh?"
You got shoes on. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
exactly. And it was like really good food. I miss that. That's the one thing I miss. Like in LA, you got to get dressed up if you want to go out for a night on the town. You know, that's the one thing I miss. Like that, and well, you can't smoke anymore in Oregon, can you? Can you
No.
smoke inside?
No, not
Yeah, I didn't.
technically.
Because when by the time I'd moved there, it was already illegal everywhere in California. So it was like going back in time when I moved to Oregon, and I could like sit in Denny's and smoke a cigarette. Like I would go out of my way after my job. I worked the night shift. I would go sit in. Do you have? Is there Dottie's still? It's like it's just a greasy spoon restaurant. I would go sit in Dottie's.
Never heard of them.
I miss, you know,
I
part of
don't
me.
live up in the North Towns.
I miss Northern Oregon, but like it's not like I have this romantic view of what it used to be, and it's not, that doesn't exist anymore, you know.
Yeah, no, probably not.
I literally would like fall asleep reading books on the Willamette River. Like I'd be lucky if I woke up and my shoes were still there nowadays. That's why I love diners. Wear anything. Exactly. Like I'm a greasy spoon kind of guy though. Like
Night, Alibaba. Thanks for coming.
yay, Alibaba, thank you so much. You make this channel what it is. Don't forget that. We just let it all hang. I miss that so much. But like I'm mourning for a city that doesn't exist anymore. Just like my version of downtown LA is gone. It is gone. I used to wander around downtown LA and I wouldn't do that now. Oh, Gilroy, are you taking off? I have been going. I have been going for 4 hours. Do you guys have anything to I will take off because I have been going all night, and I'm gonna go raid my kitchen like a Viking in a minute. Do you guys have anything to shill?
Just appreciate you having me on, brother, and just everyone be kind to yourself.
Oh, Skits, you know you're always invited.
Thanks for having me. I'm Phoenix Electro Circus on all the Twitters, Instagram, YouTubes. I have a live stream once a week on Sundays at 3:30, and I'm going to try to do some Shop My Stats project planning things because I'm a terrible pre-recorder because I hate editing, but I'm around in places.
All right, I'm gonna please everyone go subscribe to Phoenix Electra. I love your Sunday streams. It's become part of my Sundays where I drink coffee. All right, I'm gonna try to go old school, so give me a second. Skits knows what I'm about to do. I'm really rusty. It's been a while. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Godless Sewing of the Godless Sewing channel. Please do not forget to go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. I have a video out right now. Godless Sewing at the Godless Sewing channel. Be there or be square. I have a video out every week. I am rusty. It's been a while. I love everyone that has been in the chat. I need to work on my shilling. I used to be the king of shilling, but I'm on my own channel. So it's not like if you're here, you're here for a reason. But I used to have this whole spiel and I miss it. So I'm going to work on it in the mirror.
I loved it every time. Godless Sewing.
No, I took an advertising class a long time ago and it told you like mention your product over and over. So I thank everyone for showing up. You guys are awesome. I will be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. So until then, reinforce your seams, be yourself, and I will definitely see you next time.